Friends, we are live. Great to see you. Rusty with you here, CFLW, on this Sunday, stormy afternoon across Central Florida. I hope you're doing well. Sit back, relax. I think, have a fairly long live stream for you here covering what's going to be a very active weather day across Central Florida. As we get you started, as always, CFLW is sponsored by the Lane Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process. Check them out by going to leanonmelaw.com if you all would like some more information. Good to see you on this Sunday. We'll break down what's going to be happening across the area, get you prepared for what's going to be some impactful weather across the region as we move through the remainder of the afternoon and into the early evening hours for us here. Right now, we have several special weather statement storms, and storms are likely to continue to get stronger through the rest of these afternoon hours into the early evening. Some of those storms are likely to go severe. The main threat's going to be some winds of over 60 miles an hour. We could get some smaller hail embedded within some of the strongest cores of these storms. And then as these storms cluster up and they produce slow, erratic movement, we're going to also have to keep an eye on the potential for a flood threat across Central Florida. Some areas could see 3 to 5 inches of rain just today, and that could lead to some localized flooding or even flash flooding. So great to see everyone. Let me break down the scenario right now. I want to get into the most impactful weather. We do have a special weather statement storm in the southern part of Brevard County, developing along the east coast sea breeze here into Indian River County. Movement of this one is actually south and to the east, so it's moving away from southern Brevard County and into Indian River County. Again, it's kind of out there by itself. It's developing along the sea breeze. You can see that. That one has the opportunity to produce some winds of some 50 miles an hour and some quarter-inch size hail. Additional thunderstorms are likely to fill in as we go to the north. Large cluster of storms off to our south. Next special weather statement storm is going to be on the northern side of Brevard County in the southern and southeastern sides of Volusia County. This one right now is a special weather statement storm. It's also moving off towards the east at around 20 miles an hour. Max winds of 50 miles an hour and some quarter-inch or pea-sized hail. New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Scottsmore, and the Haulover Canal areas included within this. Tremendous amounts of lightning developing with these storms right now, my friends. Just in this camera view, we have nearly 500 lightning strikes. Obviously, boaters, those beach goers on this extremely hot and steamy Sunday afternoon in Central Florida need to be very prepared and aware of the activity that's developing across the area and trying to push back towards the coast. Newest special weather statement issued just before I came on is going to be for portions of Putnam and then sneaking into Flagler counties. Southeast movement here at 15 miles an hour. Special weather statement till 3:30. Places like Crescent City on over towards the Pomona Lake Park area and Andalusia will be included in this. This will be just to the west of Bunnell. I'll be monitoring that one. And then another special weather statement up here just west of St. Augustine. So if you live in the St. Augustine area, here's a storm coming your way, moving south and east with the opportunity to produce some winds of 40 miles an hour. Storms have become quite active across the metro Orlando area. None of them right now are severe, but the intensity is coming up. We have nearly 300 lightning strikes in this view in just the past 15 minutes, and storms are likely to continue to get stronger in this area. One spot that's getting hammered right now is the western sides of Orange County. Going to take you live right now to our winter garden camera as we look back off towards the west. It's a stormy mid-afternoon for places like Ocoee, downtown Winter Garden, Oakland, on over towards the Hamlin areas, and south and east towards Metro West, on over towards Bay Hill areas and places just to the east of the 429 there as well. So we'll take a look at some of those spots in just a minute, but you can see some of the storms developing there. Additional storms are trying to ramp up a little bit farther off towards the east and Metro Orlando. This is from Lake Conway area looking east across Lake George. You can see a boat probably hightailing it back to the dock. The breeze is beginning to pick up here. We're going to have some 25 and 30 mile an hour winds easily outside of where the core storms are going to be across the hour. And then quad boxing it for you guys as well. Just a couple of areas to monitor. Of course, Lake Buena Vista. Top left-hand side of your screen is going to be the Sand Lake area here as well. Again, keeping an eye out for the attractions area with these thunderstorms developing across the area on this early, well, now we'll call it mid Sunday afternoon. Okay, great to see everyone. First time jumping into the chat. Hello, hi, Razia, is it Razia? Appreciate you. Hello. Hey, Ken, how you doing? The Hoff. Fort Myers in the house. Good to see you. Hello, Noble Pills. Hope you're doing well today. Hey, Valley Girl, how you doing? Just Nautilus, good afternoon to you as well. Palm Bay Jags fan in the house saying, Rusty, surrounded by some dark clouds and thunder. He wants to know, oops, sorry about that. Please ignore that. Why that came up, I don't know. I need to test something now. Okay. Don't press it from there. Press it from there. Let me also, actually, that's the wrong chat. So now we have to work on this. Well, darn it. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. If I bring that up, that should be that. Now let me see if the chat works here. Nope. Well, we'll get it up and running. Don't worry. I'm going to test one thing again real quick. Okay. All right. I'm going to fix something behind the scenes. Sorry about that. We got a lot of technology here, and every so often these things like to do some weird stuff on us here. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I did. Hang on. Stand by. You know, you do one little thing wrong, right? Now let's see if this works. Okay. So that's up and correct. There we go. My fault. One button press. One wrong thing. And I freaked you guys out. All right, apologies for that. But there we go. Chat's up and running again. Palm Bay Jags fan says, hey, Rusty, I'm surrounded by dark clouds with thunder. Will it be getting any action? We need the rain. There's a very high likelihood that if you're tuning in from Central Florida today, you're going to get some activity at some point in time. Thunderstorms are going to be extremely widespread across the area. We do have the risk for some of these storms to go severe, but just the coverage of the storms is going to be quite prolific for today. I'm not really favoring any areas. I even think the West Coast will get in on the act as well. Maybe not as stormy there as far as coverage goes, but still some intense storms across the area. So there is a very high likelihood that you're going to see some rain and storms, some excessive rainfall is possible, and this is the beginning of getting back into a very active weather pattern across Central Florida. Look, now that Tropical Storm Bertha is gone, it pulled all the moisture out of the state for a few days, so it suppressed some of the sea breeze thunderstorms and some of the development there. Now that that's gone, we're going to get back into a stormier pattern for most of the week ahead. I think stormy today, stormy tomorrow, could be a little bit of a lull in the action as far as coverage goes Monday and Tuesday, but then we're right back into likely some stronger storms as we get into, Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit quieter than Thursday and beyond. Today, we do have a risk of severe storms. It's part of the reason why I'm on to watch this for you guys. We are on the marginal risk, the 1 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center in the areas in dark green. Your lighter green is your general thunderstorm risk, and even outside of where the Storm Prediction Center has put the risk of severe storms, we have to monitor for that opportunity. Places like Tampa, St. Pete, Lakeland, Kissimmee, back over towards Merritt Island and Palm Bay, Melbourne could still see some severe storms for today, but your slightly better chance is from the Metro Orlando area north, close to the 75 corridor and west, just not touching the west coast, but enveloping all of the east coast. So again, for beachgoers today, for boaters from Titusville north, Oak Hill, Edgewater, obviously New Smyrna Beach, Daytona, Holly Hill, Seabreeze, Wilbur by the Sea, up to Flagler Beach and Palm Coast, and then right up the entire rest of the state, all the way into Georgia and beyond, will be the marginal risk for severe storms. Only portions of coastal Levy and Citrus County get out of it on the west coast, with other areas east being in that risk, and then your general thunderstorm risk off towards the south. The risk for excessive rainfall is also apparent in that same area for today. We have our marginal risk of excessive rainfall. Again, the opportunity that some of these storms, as they slow down and merge, producing slow erratic movement, could in a couple of spots produce 3 to 5 inches of rain. So we have to monitor the potential flood threat across Central Florida as well. Hey, Lady Rose, good to see you. Fruitland Park, a little thundery. Had a shower, now looks more coming your way again. I'm going to hit this send button and we'll see how this works. There we go. We're up and running again. Thank you, Lady Rose CW. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate all of our members who got their exclusive member short video before this live stream, just letting everyone know, hey, look, there's an opportunity. I'm probably going to be on here sooner than later for today as well. So appreciate you, Lady Rose CW. Hope you're doing good. Again, back into where the storms are clustered up in the western sides of Orange County. First of all, if you look right over there, right over there, right over there. I'm joking. Winter Garden camera shows you the thunderstorms over the western side of Orange County. So Ocoee back down the 429, Windermere, Lake Butler, on over towards Bay Hill, Hamlin, right? Then you've got the Turnpike, which is 91, and the Colonial Drive 50 interchange. So a very busy area of western Orange County. Thunderstorms are developing at the hour over Lake County. They're picking up in intensity. You can see the lightning count going up right now. Claremont, Mineola on over towards Montverde. Another cluster of thunderstorms back into the southern sides of the county. Additional storms where they were pretty darn prolific late yesterday too. Portions of southern Marion County, northern Sumter County got thumped pretty good with a few storms. Bellevue back to the Villages and Wildwood. Additional storms there running our friends in for the Villages and Wildwood. Again, fairly early today. And that's going to be the trend, guys. These are going to be storms that are going to keep you indoors a fair amount of the afternoon hours. If it is still quiet in your area and you do have some outdoor yard work plans or something you want to accomplish, I would say get it done sooner than later, because those storms will continue to crank up here and they're just going to be more widespread the deeper into the day that we go. This storm looks pretty intense right now. Edgewater back down south towards Oak Hill in the Mims area, tracking off towards the south and to the east. Again, the strongest part of this cell should move offshore without touching any additional populated areas, but I'm likely expecting these storms to continue to develop and propagate to the south. So thunderstorms are likely to pick up in intensity along our sea breeze and all the old outflow boundaries over the last couple of days. Eastern Orange County, northeast Seminole County, northeastern sides of Osceola County, maybe far eastern and southeast sides of Seminole County, and then march their way back off towards the east. So if you do live in places like Mims and Titusville, Indian River City, get prepared for additional storms that way as well. Rusty, good to see you. I'll answer a namesake. Is the West Coast Newport Richey area going to see any rain for today? The answer is likely yes, that I do expect more storms to develop out west later in the day. I don't think the coverage is going to be as widespread as central and east, but there will still be some storms here. And even if you don't get rain and storms for today, do expect a very high opportunity for the rest of the week ahead. We're talking about 70-80% coverage of storms today and tomorrow, slightly lower Tuesday, Wednesday, and then probably 60-80% coverage of storms again, at least Thursday and Friday, if not even on Saturday. So, on a daily basis, especially with this much rain in the forecast, we're going to have to watch out for the opportunity for some flooding as we go along as well. Hey, Just Nautilus, how you doing? Lots of lightning happening, even if you aren't near a storm and you hear thunder, get indoors. It's a great point. When thunder roars, you head indoors. It's just a great thing to live by, really. Again, lightning can strike 10 miles from the actual parent thunderstorm, called a bolt from the blue. You don't want to get caught off guard with that. We know how these storms are going to be. Today, it is a situation where they might keep you indoors longer than just the general thunderstorm threat in Central Florida on a summer afternoon. But obviously we want to respect these storms for today, because the lightning count already just past 3 o'clock is over 1,100 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. And that's likely to continue to increase. As a example, here in the Metro Orlando area, it's been very steady lightning and storms here. You can see some of that activity right now. I want to take you back over to our Winter Garden camera to show you that storm that is in the western sides of Orange County. Again, slowly building right now. The storm is basically stationary. It's just slowly developing and expanding. It'll pick up a little bit of speed and move off to the east or southeast eventually, but this is what I'm talking about, the slow, erratic movement and the early arrival of storms. We're just going to get more excessive rainfall in more areas for today with the setup that I expect across the region. Just checking out our chat again. You got it. Valley Girl says, quiet in Cocoa, but it's too hot to weed my garden. Look, the storms are being fed off of the excessive heat as well, right? I mean, that is certainly a part of the story here, where we've had 97, 98 degree Daytime highs feels like temperatures 105 to 107, even 108. It's just fuel on the fire out there when you get that hot. All that surface heating is going to really allow some of these thunderstorms to get going. We'll keep an eye on the Sand Lake area here, looking to the south and to the west from the Sand Lake region right now. We also have our southeast camera from that area looking south and east. We call it the Epic Cam because just beyond that stand of trees is going to be the Epic Universe new Universal theme park there. So we'll be monitoring that situation. Obviously, we're going to keep a close eye on what's happening in the Disney area. Right now, we're starting to see that thunderstorm coming south and east from the western sides of Orange County and moving into Lake Buena Vista. So first attractions impacted by the storms here live on CFLW. If you do live in the southwest side of Orange County, or you know anyone who either works or is going to the attractions, make sure that they have a heads up. You can obviously send them a link to the channel and say, hey, look, you know, this channel is monitoring the situation. They're keeping an eye on these storms. You might want to do the same as well. We're bringing out 6 Box. Good to see you guys on this Sunday afternoon. Again, monitoring the situation here where we're going to have widespread storms for today. Some of them will be heavy rain and lightning producers. Others will be the potential to produce some damaging winds of over 60 miles an hour. Hopefully the hail threat for today is such where we're not going to have a lot of widespread larger hail. So at this point in time, I'm hoping that we don't have a damaging hail risk, but there could be some embedded hail within the thunderstorms for today. And then again, the slow movement likely to produce some rather heavy rainfall totals as well. So again, thanks for tuning in. Grab your favorite beverage. I think we're in for a fairly long stream. I've got my Publix Diet Green Tea here in my Lean Law tumbler. And again, Lean Law is one of the sponsors of the channel. If you're interested in being a sponsor, scan that QR code on the top left-hand side of your screen. Jump back over to the chat. Michelle says the garden needs some rain. Absolutely. Again, some benefits to these storms. We continue to eat away at the drought in Central Florida, where the portions of the East Coast continue to see the drought monitor drop off in those areas, not even abnormally dry. It's still going to take a lot of rain for most of Central Florida to get out of the drought through the rest of the summer months, but we'll be monitoring that. 3 of our most active cameras, by the way, are on the right-hand side of your screen. Your Conway cam, the thunderstorm over Winter Garden, and the building thunderstorm over portions of Lake Buena Vista. That's the storm that you see right here from Winter Garden down towards Windermere. And again, you know, look, we do have the opportunity for some tiny hail out of this. So Windermere, Lake Butler, beautiful area of Orange County. A lot of high worth homes here. So not concerned about this being damaging hail to property, to homes, and to cars, but maybe some pockets of pea-sized hail here. And again, this activity is trying to drift off towards the south and to the east. Just going to check the wind profile out of this real quick, guys. I'm always monitoring that. You know, it's going to be interesting because we have several cameras in this area. There is certainly some very weak rotation here. Nothing I'm concerned about, but you want to talk about some SLCs or some scary looking clouds out there with some broad rotation in a lower base and, you know, really dark base to those. That's what we're seeing right now, drifting back over places like World Drive and 535 down towards Lake Buena Vista and moving south into the east. So we'll be able to catch that with our cameras in the southern sides of Orange County. Good to see you, Ed. How you doing today? Coming in from the western side of Orange County, talking about Winter Garden getting hit pretty good right now. Yep, good thunderstorm across the area. Again, we're not in a severe situation as of this point in time, but these storms are ramping up. They're becoming very widespread here in the Orange County area. But of course, that's just one region that I cover. I'll go back out to the broad view to show you guys again. For now, the West Coast is quiet. Still some gustier winds there. This thunderstorm complex, southern sides of Volusia, northern sides of Brevard have picked up in intensity. You know, winds are up to 50 miles an hour, quarter-inch sized hail. Now, this special weather statement is going to expire at 3:30. I do expect the Weather Service to allow the area under the special weather statement now to expire. That being said, Thunderstorms are developing and becoming stronger farther off towards the south, so we can't rule out that the Weather Service will drop this special weather statement farther south as these storms along our boundary and our sea breeze, and you can see that, just continue to develop. So storms are going to fill in the eastern side of Orange County, northeast Osceola, and then potentially, after slow erratic movement for a time, work their way back off towards the east. So again, that special weather statement is expiring. You can see that on your screen. Obviously, special marine warnings are going to be in effect right now for winds of up to 40 miles an hour. Continuing to monitor this storm in the western side of Flagler County. That special weather statement should also be allowed to expire. And then this thunderstorm in St. Augustine has kicked up a little bit as well. They've turned this special weather statement that will expire here back to another one for the next 15 minutes. Again, all of this activity is moving offshore, so these special weather statements aren't going to be, you know, the longest duration special weather statements right now. Again, do you notice the lightning count? When I go back to this view, we're now up to basically 2,500 lightning strikes in this view in the past 15 minutes. So storm intensity continues to ramp up here on this mid-Sunday afternoon, and we'll have to monitor how this is going to play out for not only the severe weather threat, but overall the opportunity for some excessive rainfall too. Jump back into the chat. Good to see Pharaoh, one of the friends of the channel, moderators of the channel, I believe also a member as well. Again, if you that should do it, right? Yeah, okay. Hey guys, I should be back now. I'm going to just sit here and wait for a second. Yeah, hit the refresh button if you're not seeing me. It's a good idea. I see myself now. So we've set it up to where even if there is something stupid like this, thank you, Lady Rose, you guys don't have to go away, all right? And I was hoping, thanks, Just Alice, I was hoping that, you know, it's not a, look, we've got redundant power on everything in the studio, coming into the house, and all of that. But if the internet fails, and it's a fiber internet, by the way, if the internet fails outside of my house, there's just not much we can do about it, but we've taken the precautions as much as we possibly can, right? As long as the internet stays up, and even at the gateway, you know, we've got the ability, the redundant power supply, that we're not going to have an issue. So at times of, you know, tornadoes or times of hurricanes, we should be good to go, right? But we are still at the mercy, if you will, of some of this situation being a streaming channel. So appreciate you. Again, situation will always be this from now on, right? Because we took some lessons from a couple of streams ago that if it freezes, if it locks up, just give me a couple of minutes. We'll reboot things on the back end and we'll be back on the same stream. You don't have to get out of this stream, find a different stream. This stream will continue. Just might need a couple of minutes to get back up and running again. And again, it's not our equipment, right? I'd be a little bit, I would, it'd be one of those things if we sat here and said, nah, there's nothing we can do about it. That's the problem, right? As long as the internet's coming in, we'd be good. All right. So enough about that. Glad that I'm back. Let me reconnect back over to the radar and we'll move on. So in the meantime, they have gone special weather statement and severe thunderstorm warning. So as I mentioned, with these storms today, they are going to start to pick up in intensity and they're going to get stronger. So this is what's going on right now. New special weather statement, central western sides of Orange County sneaking into the eastern sides of Lake. It's going to go till 4:15. east at 15 miles an hour, Orlando, Kissimmee, Ocoee, Winter Garden, and Windermere, all included within that. Let me get you the bulletin for the National Weather Service office out of Melbourne. Strong thunderstorm will impact South Central Lake, Southwest Orange, and Northwest Osceola through 4:15. Strong thunderstorm near Horizon West or Bay Lake moving off to the east at around 15. Winds of 50. So at this point in time, no big hail threat with this one, but this storm is moving into places like Lake Buena Vista and the Sand Lake areas as well. So I'm going to switch over to our Sand Lake cameras and we'll be monitoring that. So I'm going to bring up this one here. And you can see the Sand Lake cameras in our Conway cam. And then I'm just going to do something real quick here. And I'm going to bring up our Lake Buena Vista camera for you guys in there. So now you're going to see this storm covered by those three cameras as it moves off towards the south and to the east at around 15. So again, winds of 50 miles an hour with this one. Talked about the thunderstorm in Brevard County, northern Brevard County, ramping up, right, as these storms propagate off towards the south. So now you do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Let me get you the details on that one. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 4:15 for places like Titusville, Port St. John, Mims, and the Titusville Airport, and Sharps. 60-mile-an-hour winds and some 3/4-inch size hail. They fired off a special weather statement which extends back just south of Oak Hill. But as I mentioned just before I got cut off, thought that the storm would be building south and getting stronger, and we've hit severe thunderstorm criteria there. So if you do live in northern Brevard County, moving right across places like Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, this storm is imminently into your area. Additional cells are developing off towards the south. This is moving south and east, so it's going to move over Port St. John and the Merritt Island area. And additional stronger storms are likely to develop east of Wedgefield and take a run deeper into other areas of Brevard County. By the way, even outside of the thunderstorms, we're getting wind gusts right now of around 30 miles an hour in downtown Orlando and at MCO. Obviously, we're going to expect an airport weather warning with the storms moving into the south central sides of Orange County. Additional thunderstorms are again fired up over Bellevue, back down towards the Villages and Wildwood. This is not a stronger storm. It's pulsed up. It's come back down. The West Coast right now is relatively quiet, but even a few cells are developing there. A few thunderstorms up in Flagler County right now through St. John's. This special weather statement storm up in the St. Augustine area is about ready to expire. Special marine warning. Again, all of your movement with this right now, I'll put this into motion for you guys, just kind of as a reset to where we were before we got cut off there. Everything right now is moving off to the east and to the southeast, all right? That will be the general thunderstorm movement for today, but we could additionally see storms basically be stationary or not have much movement at all, and that's where the locally heavy rainfall and the flood threat will start to accompany some of these storms as we push deeper into this Sunday afternoon. Again, you guys want to let me know what's happening in your area. I appreciate that. Thank you for everyone for sticking with me. I do appreciate you guys doing that as well. And again, we're still, we are almost all buttoned up, but there are certain things in our control, certain things out of our control, and we're doing everything we can to keep things in our control. Alex is in the house from Palm Coast saying thunder starting to pick back up in Palm Coast. Appreciate that. Love the icon, by the way. Yeah, you guys have any questions about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Obviously, for members of the channel, I'm happy to prioritize and discuss whatever I can. But letting me know what's happening in your area helps out the situation greatly as well. All right, so the new situation here is that, the storm looks like it's fallen just below special weather statement criteria, and they've allowed it to expire. Same situation with the storm here. So these storms are pulsing up right now. They're producing some extremely heavy rainfall and lightning and gusty winds. They're not really holding on to their intensity for a strong or a long amount of time right now, but the coverage is just going to fill in. And these storms at any point in time could again become strong to severe. Got to watch out for the heavy rainfall too. We haven't had a second yet to take a look at how much rain is falling in one area, but I want to do that right now so you guys can understand just kind of the rainfall rates out here. So if we look at the rainfall rates within the storms in western Orange County, you're going to see some spots that are picking up 2.5, maybe close to 3 inches an hour. It's not the 4, 5, and 6 that we've had, but I remind you that this storm is not moving much. So now it becomes a lot more plausible that places like Montverde to Oakland to Ocoee, back down 27, Hamlin to 429 towards Western Way, Lake Buena Vista, areas towards Bay Hill and the Windermere areas, Lake Butler included, could be picking up a quick 2 inches of rain with the storm not moving very fast. That could lead to flooding of low-lying areas, ponding on roadways. Eventually, again, this could lead to a little bit more in the way of flood advisories and flash flooding. The thunderstorms in northern Brevard County are quite intense as well. Rainfall rates here are pushing 3.5 inches an hour. Now, this one has a little bit more forward speed, but again, a couple of inches of rain to the Mims area, Titusville. You can see the cell just west of Titusville, about 3.3 inches of rain an hour. So a little bit more significant here as far as the heavy blinding rains. The storms, just like yesterday, haven't moved much over portions of Marion County. And Bellevue got thumped pretty good yesterday with a severe thunderstorm and some flood advisories there into the northern sides of Sumter County. And places like the Villages and Wildwood and Bellevue, again, back under the gun for some excessive rainfall, which could lead to some quick flooding. If you've had a couple of days in a row of some excessive rainfall, can't rule out, again, with the ground so saturated that we just can't hold on to some of the, rainfall, and it's going to be a lot more runoff than anything in a couple of the areas. St. Augustine also has some impressive rainfall totals of over 3 inches, and even the cells that are just out here by themselves right now are still very intense from time to time. The storm over Chiefland right now is producing a rainfall rate of over 5 inches an hour. It is really isolated, but it's really coming down where it is. All right, great to see everyone. Thank you for letting me know what's happening in your area. Get this off of the screen here. Dagger comes in and says starting a little bit more ominous north from central Merritt Island. Certainly if you live in Brevard County, central and north, storms are closing in. New severe thunderstorm warning as I'm zooming into that area. It is going to get worse in Brevard County. So if you do live in Merritt Island, if you live in Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa, and Rockledge, now this storm, again, developing down the sea breeze, continues to pulse up, and we're going to get some stronger storms. Now we're up to 3/4 inch sized hail. Now we're starting to get close to the opportunity for some damaging hail. As a matter of fact, now, what I'm going to do here real quick, guys, is I want to update my headline for you. So let me go in here real quick. One thing I always want to make sure that you guys are aware of is exactly the situation in the area. So I'm going to add in 3/4 inch hail. So now everyone tuning in who is brand new understands the threat in the area. Cheryl listening from Palm Coast. Hope Hills has rain in Buena Vista. Thank you for that, Dagger. I do appreciate that. Jared, good to see you. Good afternoon, my friend. Nothing here in Port St. John, 99 degrees. Would love some rain. Do me a quick favor, guys. First of all, I love everyone tuning in and letting me know what's happening. Please always just include where your chat is from, right? I mean, maybe you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but there's a lot of chat, which I love, and sometimes I miss exactly where you're tuning in from. So just let me know, hey, Rusty, I'm in here. Here's my situation. That helps out me. That helps out all of the CFLW weather community. So I do appreciate that. Again, this is a live-only channel, and it only works with us interacting together, right? wisdom of the crowd. You guys let me know what's happening in your area. We break it down together. That ground truth information not only helps me out, but everyone who is tuning in who are being impacted by these storms. So again, thank you so much for doing so. Let me give you the latest information on this new severe thunderstorm warning. This one's pushing a bit more south right now at 20 miles an hour. Again, Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa Beach, and the Sharps area. This is a strong, potentially damaging storm. If you live in these areas and you have a quick opportunity to get the cars inside, to secure lightweight objects that are maybe out and about in your yard, not a bad idea to do so here. That storm is going to be rowdy as it moves into your area. This is going to be the bulletin for the National Weather Service office out of Melbourne from this storm. It reads like this. Severe thunderstorm warning for northwest Brevard, southeastern Orange until 4:15. Severe thunderstorm located near Titusville, moving south at around 20 miles an hour, right? 60-mile-per-hour winds and some penny-sized hail. That's what the 3/4 inch size hail is. It's penny-sized hail. You get to 0.88 and you end up going into nickel-sized hail, and that is kind of the threshold, if you will, to see the potential for some damaging hail. So we're right on the size threshold with this severe thunderstorm for the opportunity for some damaging hail out of that. So again, protect your property if you can out ahead of it. Slow movement of the storm is likely producing some excessive rainfall right now. It's coming down across 95. Titusville, Indian River City. It's about ready to cross the Indian River. Here up towards the 405, back into Merritt Island, north of the Cape. Then you've got the NASA Causeway here, kind of getting back into the Cape and the Cocoa area, and then back down towards Rockledge as well, right? So across the Indian, eventually on over towards the Banana River and the Barrier Islands. Additional storms, again, likely to continue to develop south and east. You can see from our cameras here in the southern sides of Orange County. Storm right over the Lake Buena Vista area. We continue with this special weather statement, 50-mile-an-hour winds here. The severe thunderstorm in Brevard County. So Lake Buena Vista, Hunters Creek, Celebration. There's the outflow boundary with these storms. And additional storms are likely to just kind of develop in between right now where we have the two active areas. Lisa, good to see you on this Sunday. Cloudy with thunder in Deltona. Appreciate that. R. Johns, good afternoon to you as well. Windermere is in the house. Lovely area. Rain has slowed down a bit. Again, I have my Lean Law tumbler. I knew it was going to be a long stream. Wasn't going with a small beverage for today. We've got the diet green tea ready to go. Team was in Indian River City. Appreciate that. Hey, Michelle, clear in Merritt Island, but I did hear some very distant thunder. It's coming your way, Michelle. Now, depending on where you live in Merritt Island, but likely at least the western part of Merritt Island is going to get scraped as these storms move along the coast. Excuse me real quick. Sorry, almost choked on my green tea. Storms will eventually push off more east. This individual cell is moving more south right now, but everything's going to get carried back off towards the east. So I do expect a lot of Merritt Island to eventually get covered up. So Stephen is in Indian River City, and to add to that, he said it's just starting to pour with the high winds. So again, a lot of the northern sides of Brevard County, it's coming. And look, additional storms are developing over areas that have already had some intense weather. This is a day where multiple rounds of storms could move into your area. To give you an idea, back into Winter Garden right now, more storms are developing. We've already had one nasty storm come through, but Montverde, Oakland, Winter Garden, Nicoya, more thunder, more lightning developing here. Again, when thunder roars, you head indoors. This is a situation for today where the coverage of storms is going to be fairly widespread. The intensity of storms are going to be such that we have to monitor the severe weather threat. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are under a risk of severe storms. The greatest chance is from the Metro Orlando area north in the darker green, including the East Coast. But already we've had one severe thunderstorm warning slip south of that risk area. Again, those are just lines on a map. The bottom line is that we are in an environment for today for the opportunity for storms that produce winds of over 60 miles an hour, potentially some 3/4 inch size hail and higher. And the slow erratic movement of the storms could also produce some excessive rainfall, maybe 3 to 5 inches of rain in some areas. So, again, deeper into this Sunday afternoon that we go, we're going to see that opportunity just ramp up as the storms, of course, become more widespread. Clear in Tampa. Yeah, if you guys have anything significant, let me know. Hey, Blue Goose, good afternoon to you, my friends. Hope you're doing good. St. Augustine is in the house. 77 rain-cooled degrees there, 94% humidity. Yeah, I can show you guys the temperatures real quick. Can you tell where it's rained and where it hasn't? Right? Daytona Beach in at 79. I've got 77 in St. Augustine. It's 99 right now, north and east, the Keystone Heights area, 99 degrees there. Gainesville is in at 97. You just want to talk about fuel to the fire, guys. That's one part of why we're getting these intense storms. The other part of this is that we have had Tropical Storm Bertha move away. That really impacted the development of the sea breeze in the afternoon hours. Now we're back into a much more rich, moisture-laden environment, and all of the storms the last couple of days, and especially the storms yesterday, there's a lot of outflow boundaries that these storms are going to collide against. So the opportunity for some really rowdy weather across your area the rest of this Sunday, and maybe even just past the sunset hour in our area too. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're doing so, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Again, we're a live-only channel, so covering impactful weather here in Central Florida as storms begin to develop, and I'll be on with you guys throughout the duration of these events. So come on in. This is going to be a potentially a little bit longer stream than normal. It just depends on how the day goes, but we'll be monitoring the situation throughout the remainder of the day. If you do have late Sunday afternoon plans, you might want to have an indoor alternate. Again, while there will be breaks in the action, and this is not going to be an all-day rain for everyone, storms should continue to develop and become fairly widespread into the deeper afternoon hours of this Sunday. West Coast is likely to be the driest part of our area, but it's not going to be completely dry. I do expect some storms to develop along the West Coast a little bit later in the day. Now, if you don't get storms today and you're looking for some rain, we are starting a very active pattern here in Central Florida for most of next week, especially today and tomorrow, and then again starting on Thursday, where coverage of storms could be 60, 70, even 80% on a daily basis. Right now, we do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect right now. This is going to basically see this special weather statement expire, and then the severe thunderstorm warnings will continue from Titusville down towards Indian River City, beginning to cross the Indian River right now. Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa. Probably heard from my mic, thunderstorms outside the studio. Look, guys, these are thumping storms right now. You got to respect them. Let these storms pass you by. But even in this case today, I do expect additional storms to redevelop, and it just might be an afternoon. You might have to be inside a fair amount of the time. May not be a lot of breaks in the action for central and eastern areas. I'm just going to drop off the severe thunderstorm warning real quick because I want to do a quick drawing of this storm. We're going to track it together here, guys, in this fashion. So as this severe thunderstorm is developing and additional activity is developing to the south, and I'll put back on the severe thunderstorm warning so you know that they're still in effect. These are the areas and the time of arrival based on where they are right now and their forward speed. So Port St. John at about 4:03 on the doorstep of Port St. John. The Sharps area, again, around 4:14, depending on where you are, the Sharps area. If you live between Port St. John and Sharps, you can see down to the very second my system counting down when I expect that thunderstorm to move into your area. This one's a good one. 60-mile-an-hour winds, 3/4 inch size hail. Respect this storm. Again, make sure you're indoors. Stay away from northwest-facing windows. Hopefully you've got the cars inside the garage if you can. This will continue to track towards Rockledge, the Cape, Vieira North at 4:43, the southern sides of Mare Island where the actual marker is at 4:45, Cocoa 415, Pineda 454 in the Suntree area, and at 456. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning only goes until 415, but if it holds together, we could see an additional severe thunderstorm warning issued, and these are the areas that could be impacted in Brevard County from that severe thunderstorm warning. Now, on the northern side of this, again, I expect places like Indian River City to be impacted up towards the Titusville area. This one will cross the river and then get back into, much less populated areas here, the Cape, North, Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex down here, and then all your launch complexes along the immediate coast. Yes, indeed, Blue Goose. Like mine says, hey, I heard that one. I bet you did. So again, we continue with 2 severe thunderstorm warnings for Brevard County. Again, I'm monitoring the situation here. We have our live cameras across the area. You're taking a live look right now to what's happening in Sand Lake area. You're looking at Conway, which is in the east side of Orange County, looking off towards the east. Thunderstorms have redeveloped over places like Winter Garden. So Winter Garden right now beginning to get covered up again with the thunderstorms in that area. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening in Conway right now live. Again, that's the stronger storms, southern sides of Volusia into northern sides of Brevard County. Here in the Winter Garden area, we're looking off towards the west. Strong storm, western sides of Orange County. Not a lot of wind right now, but the lightning getting very intense again through portions of western Orange County. And it's a pretty good storm over Lake Buena Vista at this point in time. Again, for the attractions area, just have to keep a close eye on that threat. Again, when thunder roars, you head indoors. You have to respect the lightning being produced out of this activity for today. But we got you covered here on the channel. Continue to monitor the situation. Please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. The QR code will take you to their website, leanomelaw.com. Again, they offer free consultation and policy review. So if you get stuck in a storm damage claim and you're having a rough go of it, they'll walk you through that process. Scan the QR code to get to their website. If you're interested in being a sponsor of the channel as well, you can reach out to us by scanning the QR code on the top left-hand side of your screen. You want to become a sponsor of the channel like Bobby, or you want to sponsor one of our cameras, just let me know. Water Lily, good to see you for today. Constant lightning here in the Hunters Creek area. Pretty stormy indeed through portions of Orange County. Question about what's going on right now in Palm Bay. A little bit quieter up in Palm Bay right now. Let me drop off that real fast. Oh, Palm Bay, I'm sorry. For some reason, I read that as Palm Coast. So it's coming, right? These storms are drifting south and east. Additional storms are developing off of the East Coast sea breeze. Everything is working south and east. The storms are getting stronger. Water Lily was just talking about Hunters Creek. This is the leading edge of this special weather statement here. So if you do live south and east of these areas where the storms are right now, that's the movement. Everything is moving south and east. And now we're beginning to see outflow boundaries merging together in Osceola County. So this is your new development zone between these two. And guess what happens, guys? This will likely end up being one large area of storms that will be slow and erratic to move. And where that develops, that's likely your next flood threat. All right. That's why we could see 3 to 5 inches of rain, because these storms that are prolific storms will begin to merge together, and then it's going to take hours for them to pick up some decent forward speed. So I'll have to monitor the situation in between these cells. I'm not saying that's the only area of flooding, but been doing this long enough to see how these outflow boundaries evolve. And in between Orlando and Melbourne right now, we could have the opportunity that these storms are going to fill in quickly and then produce very slow and erratic movement. So now you get your few inches of rain in a couple of spots. Let's bring back on the wind data. Still 31 at the airport now. Kissimmee's up to a 33-mile-an-hour wind. Again, this particular special weather statement, east at 15. It does include downtown Orlando, but the worst weather is south towards Lake Buena Vista, Celebration, Meadow Woods, Buenaventura Lakes, Kissimmee, eventually towards MCO and Lake Nona, which are Garden again included in this. Now, the storm up north and west is not as significant wind-wise as the southern side, but there's still a lot of lightning being produced. Guys, let me just zoom in a little bit more here. Again, over 300 lightning strikes in this special weather statement storm in Orange County. Decent storm, no doubt about it. Now, you compare that to the storms in Brevard County, and you have about 500 lightning strikes. Again, tracking this storm, here's the leading edge of our southern severe thunderstorm warning. Rockledge, 427. Now, sharp sooner than that, okay? But then Rockledge, 427, Pineda, 450, Suntree, 452, and eventually towards Palm Shores at around 501. This is going to impact a lot of highly populated areas of Brevard County, both along I-95 and east towards US 1, and then the barrier islands eventually towards A1A. I mean, I'm talking about maybe towards the Space Force Base in south. Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, in the Atlantic could all be impacted by this. I do expect this activity to stay rather intense and held together as it moves off to the south and to the east. This is what it looks like when I put it into motion over the last half hour. You can see the outflow boundary pushing out of these storms. Here's the East Coast sea breeze. There's the merging of the two. Storms are likely to fire up across 192 in the Harmony area. And then all of this activity continues to move off towards the southeast. There's been at least some decent forward speed with this now. But again, if these cells can merge together, that's when things could slow up a bit. Storms are beginning to finally exit the Bellevue area towards the Villages in Wildwood. Nice little cells trying to develop over the Ocala area. Additional pockets of stronger storms in our northwest areas. St. Augustine, as that storm blew through, had a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust. We've had a couple of scattered showers up towards Marineland and Palm Coast to go along with it. Jared coming in saying a 29-mile-an-hour wind gust in Port St. John. Appreciate that. Water Lily asked, how much rain is possible expected here in Hunters Creek? I can only talk in generalities right now, and what you see on the screen is what I am most concerned about down the road, and that is some areas to get 3 to 5 inches of rain. If this is the only storm in Hunters Creek, you're not likely to get 3 to 5 inches, but you could pick up a quick 1 to 2 inches of rain out of this particular storm. Then the question, Water Lily, becomes, does an additional storm develop in your area between now and sunset, or maybe even towards 9 o'clock? If that's the case, then you pick up another 1 to 2 inches, and now we could start to see the lower end of that, where some areas, especially where we have this severe thunderstorm warning, could already be picking up a few inches of rain. So to answer your question, it's a hard answer to give as to the amount you're going to eventually get. Out of that cell, I would expect no more than 1 to 2, but it's not as if that's the only game in town. It's not as if that's the only thunderstorm that you are definitely going to see. The opportunity for more storms is certainly in the forecast the remainder of the day. Hey, Breezy, good to see you. Breezy says, hello, Oklahoma friend. For my 7 years I spent as a meteorologist in Oklahoma City. He says, how's it looking for anyone here in Ormond Beach? Well, right now it's a little bit quieter. Storms move through your area a little bit earlier, but additional cells are developing inland and everything's moving off towards the east. So I hate to say this, if you're looking for a little bit quieter weather, additional storms are likely to fire up across interior sections and make another run back towards coastal areas here for the remainder of the afternoon hours. Look, guys, it's only 4 o'clock. We still have, the opportunity for additional stronger storms. We still continue our severe thunderstorm warning for Brevard County as well. Again, that goes into effect for, I believe, at least the next 15 minutes or so. We're back down to 5 now. So that goes until 4:15. You're welcome, Water Lily. Question about tornadic activity. Low, not zero, not expecting it. Monitor the situation. Not expecting a ton of rotation within these storms for today. If there is going to be a little something trying to get squirrely, might be here in coastal Brevard County. You guys hear me talk about it all the time, that there is the opportunity here for there to be a little bit of inherent spin as it moves across the waters. So if we look at the winds here near the Melbourne radar site, these are really strong winds. I mean, look at that, guys. This is why we have this severe thunderstorm warning. These are nearly ground truth winds across 95, just west of Cocoa and Sharps on the beach line, by the way, right? 528 is the beach line. That could be in excess of 50 miles an hour in some spots. That's extremely strong wind across the beach line. That's moving off towards the east. So back down, towards the Vieira area eventually, and Rockledge, and on over towards Pineda, Fisk Boulevard, Wickham Road, all areas that, as that storm moves south and east, we could get some 40, 50, and even 60 mile an hour winds. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for at least 60 mile an hour winds in some locations. But to me, it looks like this storm has really sharpened up, no pun intended, just west of Sharps in the Cocoa area. Still solid thunderstorm here. 417 back towards I-4. Turnpike, Kissimmee. There's the Turnpike, 441, 192. Angelica says, whoops, South Tizer, lots of thunder and heavy rain. No rotation for the most part with these storms right now. Now, when these sea breeze storms collide, you can get some brief areas of rotation, and they'll always bear monitoring. Always have to monitor it. Not what I'm expecting to be the highest probability out of these storms today. A lot of widespread heavy rain, 60 plus mile an hour winds. All right, again, appreciate everyone tuning in on this Sunday. Hope you're doing well. Just one of those situations today, my friends. We're going to be monitoring what is going to be a pretty active forecast the remainder of the afternoon hours. Storm coverage is going to be high. Storm intensity is going to be ramped up from time to time. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, at least for the next 2 minutes, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, 2 of them for Brevard County. Worst part of this cell is in the Sharps Cocoa area right along 95, trying to push a little bit closer to US 1. Now, the Weather Service office out of Melbourne, as you can see, has now put up a special weather statement. And I want to be clear, I'm kind of cheeky about it. You got to get to 60 mile an hour winds and or inch size hail for a severe thunderstorm warning. They've made this special weather statement 55 mile an hour winds. So it is just below severe thunderstorm warning criteria. But I don't want you to let your guard down with this storm. Appreciably, there's not really any difference right now. There's not a lot of difference from 60 to 55 mile an hour winds and the kind of damage it could cause. It's just not going to allow them to fire it up as a severe thunderstorm warning. So the new special weather statement will go for the next half hour till 4:45. Again, winds of 55 mile an hour and half-inch size hail for Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa, and the Cocoa Beach areas. Obviously, special marine warnings are in effect as well. So our severe thunderstorm warning will be expiring in about 40 seconds. So that will be going away from your screen there in about 40. Again, you're taking a look at our live camera network across Central Florida as well. That is going to be the southeast side, from Sand Lake looking south and east. We call it the Epic Cam because you can see Epic Universe there. Conway is in effect right now. We're looking on the east side there towards Lake George and off towards the east. So some of the thunderstorm activity in Brevard County is noticeable there. There's the storm in Winter Garden. It flared back up. Good thunder and lightning produced with that. Special weather statement is going to be expiring for those areas of the northwest side of Orange County and the western sides of Orange County. And then the strongest part of that cell is still over places like Lake Buena Vista. So again, right now, the severe thunderstorm warning for Brevard County has been allowed to expire, replaced by a very large special weather statement. The special weather statement in Orange County has also been allowed to expire, but we'll see how that plays out. In the shorter term, at least for now, we get a little bit of a break in the action for Orlando, Altamont Springs, Lockhart, on over towards Lake Mary and Sanford. Overcast skies, some light rain there. Another thunderstorm has picked back up over the Ocala area, and now you have a special weather statement there. So again, as one storm cluster, picks up in intensity, produces some strong to damaging storms, and moves off and dissipates. Additional cells are developing in other areas of Central Florida to kind of take the slack up, if you will. So a new special weather statement in effect for Marion County, including the Ocala area, Lynn, Silver Spring Shores, Santos, Anthony, and Bellevue. Now, this storm is not as intense as the storms in Metro Orlando or in Brevard County, but it does have some 40-mile-an-hour winds associated with that. And again, fair amount of lightning to go along for the ride there as well. That lightning count at this point in time is going to be about 25 lightning strikes. Hey, Trucky Truck, good to see you. Need the rain in Groveland. I appreciate that. So Water Lily asked the question, and I answered it, but I appreciate that. By the way, Nightbot pops up. It says, if you're seeing something significant, tell us in the chat. We may feature it in our live reports. I appreciate that. And so that was the question, right? 60-mile-an-hour winds is what needs to be a severe thunderstorm warning. That's absolutely right. You have to have 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-size hail. Those are the only two criteria for a special weather statement to a severe thunderstorm warning. So anything lower than 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-size hail would be a special weather statement. You got to have one of those two or both for a severe thunderstorm warning. But great question. Tanya wants to know what's going to be happening in the Bithlo and Christmas areas. Well, again, right now, things are relatively quiet there, right? The thunderstorms have moved south and east of you. Additional light rain is in your area. This cluster of thunderstorms is on the stronger side, but it's moving away. So look, guys, there's going to be some breaks in the action. There's no doubt about that. It's not going to be this consistent, persistent storm activity across all of our area throughout the remainder of the day. You might be able to get back out, but in a lot of spots, it's already wet. Storms have not been as prolific along the west coast for today, although a few storms could still fire up there in the remainder of the afternoon hours, especially into the early evening. Could be a little bit of a late day variety here. When you haven't had the storms, temperatures are still outrageously hot. These are actual air temperatures, including 99 degrees in Ocala at 4 o'clock. You factor in the humidity. The feels like numbers are gross. 105 is the feels like temperature in Crystal River right now. Same thing in Spring Hill. Inverness 107. It feels like it's 112 in Ocala. The sensor is just south and west of the thunderstorm. And I'm showing you this, guys, because that's the fuel to the fire. And it won't take much with feels like temperatures in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties with a bit of lift in the atmosphere and at least some initiation of outflow boundaries or sea breeze to give us some thunderstorm activity there. It's like, again, just you heat up the low levels of the atmosphere like that, and it's pretty easy in this environment to get additional storms. Michelle coming back in saying, looking pretty dark in South Merritt Island right now. Yeah, that's where that storm is headed. Again, we are just below severe thunderstorm warning criteria in this spot. I would still treat this as if it could be producing especially severe winds. Hopefully the inch-size hail is the highest size that we're going to get. We can handle that, right? It's a little bit more than penny-sized hail, but excuse me, just a little bit less than penny-sized hail. So hopefully, you know, dime size, slightly lower in a couple of spots. You know, not the nickels and the quarters, the dimes and the pennies. The lightning, again, pretty excessive here. Port St. John, sharps back down towards Cocoa. Appreciate everyone again tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. If you are, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, again, it's a live-only channel. I'm only on when there is impactful weather here to cover in Central Florida with our live camera network and all the other tools and resources we have here at CFLW Live. So I do suggest that you have all notifications on because, again, you're not going to get inundated with notifications from the channel. If you get one, you know I'm on, and I appreciate you tuning in and checking things out. Again, thank you to all the moderators of the chat. You'll see them in blue. The members of CFLW are going to be in green. If you'd like to become a member of the channel and to support the channel in that way, let us know. Hit that join button for us, okay? And you get access to exclusive member short videos in between these live streams. You also have access to exclusive member badges and emojis during the live streams as well. Kevin, good afternoon to you in Lakeland as well. Good afternoon to Asher. Conway checking back in. Storms on the move. OIA traffic has been diverted, but now is back to normal. Yep. So had to let that thunderstorm come through. Now things have quieted down a little bit over MCO, allowing, again, air traffic to resume. Obviously, they'll just be avoiding coming in from the south if they can, or just kind of swinging around these storms. But I appreciate that report. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to Global Weather Center as well. Hope everyone's doing well in your neck of the woods. Again, you guys have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Let's go back out to our camera network here live. Let's check in with what's going on right now in Winter Garden. Again, a little bit of blue sky for now. And I hit that big caveat for now, right? It's still only 4:22 in the afternoon. We've already had multiple rounds of storms. Yes, we've kind of raked some of the area here as far as losing some of the instability in the atmosphere, but storms are still going to be pretty widespread, and they can be fairly intense even in spots that have already had 1 or 2 rounds of storms already. So, have to monitor that situation for you, as we go through the rest of the afternoon hours. Looks like the rain has ended for the most part in Lake Buena Vista, but it's still fairly wet and gloomy there. Obviously, lightning is a concern still in some of these areas. If you really want to be safe, give yourself 30 minutes between the last lightning strike or the last rumble of thunder that you hear before you head back outdoors. Still some nasty clouds. You can see that lower base cloud there, the nice little shelf cloud on the back end of the storms over the Conway area too. Now, as I've been talking, we do have this severe thunderstorm warning back. Again, I think the Weather Service was teetering on whether they were going to make this a severe thunderstorm warning. They went 55, and okay, but now they were back up to 60. And so there's your answer right there. Your difference between the special weather statement and severe thunderstorm warning is literally the opportunity for additional 5-mile-an-hour winds. I'm just going to drop off the special weather statement so you can see the new severe thunderstorm warning, and let me give you the details on that. Severe thunderstorm warning for Melbourne, Rockledge, Cocoa Beach, and Satellite Beach for the next 21 minutes until 4:45. 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe less than 3/4-inch size hail. So we're back up to penny-sized hail here. This does eke into southeast Orange and northeast Osceola. Severe thunderstorm over the Lone Cabbage Fish Camp, moving south at 25. 60-mile-an-hour winds, so expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Again, the areas that I've already mentioned likely impacted by this storm. Now, it is moving a little bit more due south as it fills in, but it is likely to eventually move also off towards the east. So if you do live in Cocoa and in Rockledge, and you do live in Vieira and Merritt Island, and back downtown towards Pineda and Suntree, the Pineda Causeway, across the rivers towards Satellite Beach, this storm is likely to still get into your area. Palm Shores included in that. So filling in and then moving off towards the east. Let's track that storm. Before I do that, let me double check this forward speed. 23. So again, kind of all the way up here and then back down. And I'm telling you, it's going to eventually kind of do this as a general movement. So here are some of the areas that will be impacted by this storm. Again, if you live in these areas in Brevard County, you have to assume that you are going to be hit by the potential for some damaging weather with winds of up to 60 miles an hour and some 3/4-inch size hail. Going to be the Cocoa area at 429, Rockledge 430, Merritt Island 443, Cocoa Beach 450, Satellite Beach 506, June Park 508, Indian Harbor Beach 510, West Melbourne 512, then towards Melbourne itself 517, and across towards Melbourne Beach at 524. And again, down to the very second, we can track these storms here for you guys live in times of necessary street level mapping for you. Fairly intense storm, guys. About 500 lightning strikes in this view in the last 15 minutes. Global Weather Center, appreciate you joining in from the UK. Again, it's not just Florida who tunes into this channel. I've got friends from my Media Mundo channel, which is the Caribbean and the Bahamas. We've got Canada, we've got UK, we've got a lot of people in the house from everywhere. Appreciate everyone tuning in, and let me know where you're viewing from. That's always an interesting fact. I always love to go back and look where folks have tuned in from. It's really interesting how Florida weather is so unique, right? And how it attracts a lot of folks who are just curious about our weather. Because again, you know, we're surrounded on three sides by water here. We have a very interesting and unusual weather pattern, especially during our wet season during the summer months. Yes, I would have guessed it was raining in the UK. I would have taken that shot. Now again, special weather statement for Marion County. Cell over Ocala looks to be coming down in intensity. We had 25 lightning strikes the last time I checked in with this storm. We're down to 5. So it does look like the intensity is fading. That tells me that I do believe this special weather statement will either expire at 4:45 or actually be allowed to expire even a bit earlier then. Additional storms are again developing kind of in a scattered or isolated variety north. More storms right now between St. Augustine and the southern sides of Jacksonville towards I-95. And again, we're looking from the Melbourne radar. If we ever need to switch over to Jacksonville or Tampa, I'll do that. Storms are clustered up south as well. And again, technically, and as we've already seen, we do have a risk of severe storms. Now, go back when I showed you this earlier, right? That marginal risk in the dark green, 1 out of 5, only extended as far south as Metro Orlando. Now that we've had severe thunderstorms develop into Brevard County, the Storm Prediction Center has pulled that area farther south to include a lot more of Central Florida. Remember, I told you just a little bit ago, it's only a line on a map, right? Mother Nature doesn't care. Storm Prediction Center saw that the storms were developing a little bit farther south and were intense, and they pulled their risk area down a little bit farther. It also gets a little bit closer to the west coast, so you notice again that even though things have been a little bit quieter in places like Inverness and the villages in Ocala, generally speaking down towards Spring Hill, it's still only 4:30, and the opportunity for more strong to potentially severe storms could develop there. Still not included is most of Hillsborough and Pinellas and Manatee and Sarasota counties, at least at this point in time. Excessive rainfall risk continues for today in the areas in green. These are the areas with the best chance or the highest risk for the 3 to 5 inches of rain that could lead to some flooding. Always monitoring that situation. I'm going to pull on the Weather Service advisories right now real quick, just to make sure that we don't have anything here that is of concern. That might take just a quick second to pop on. The greens, by the way, are going to be your flood advisories. So if you're viewing from Fort Lauderdale and West Palm, you guys have had this. These are the severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, this is by county. So you see it's over Orlando. It's just the far southeast side. Always also going to check in with local storm reports. So in the Port Orange area, we'll rather see at 240. We did have a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust there from Ponce Inlet, the Ponce Inlet Town Hall. And then again, I've told you guys, we have so many sensors here because of all of the space activity in Brevard County. So another weather flow site at the Indian River, Parish Park, had a 39-mile-an-hour wind gust. And then this is going to be Tower 714 at the Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge, had a 47-mile-an-hour wind gust. So there's your kind of ground truth data with the thunderstorms that move through northern Brevard County. Off. Good to see you. Fort Myers, Florida here. Love the vids, man. Cheers to you. Hey, appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Thanks for taking a quick second. Let me know how you're doing on this Sunday and jumping in the chat and helping out the channel. So thank you very much for that. Hello, Valley Girl 5050. Nice. Very nice of you. My pleasure. So no rain so far in Palm Bay. Appreciate that. Cheryl, let's get the hearts out in chat for Cheryl, guys. $10 super chat for your green tea fund. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The green tea fund is important. I'm going to show you guys another fund here in a second. Give me just 1 second here. Been out for a while, but thank you, Cheryl. Hearts out in chat. Let me find that. I want to make sure I gave it the heart as well. Excellent. Thank you so much. Hey, green tea fund, you know, maybe afterwards the adult beverage fund too. Just joking. What you think says, yeah, nice quick shower, East Highlands. Boy, was it hot. I appreciate that. Okay, so this severe thunderstorm warning again continues for the next 14 minutes until 4:45. You can see the additional storms here. Okay. You guys will understand what I'm laughing about here in a second. So I mentioned it, there's a, I think it's John the Beagle Dad. He is in the chat every so often. And I mentioned, I was like, oh, well, you know, we might have an announcement coming up. So if you guys want to, you know, help out a fund, bring her here. I want you guys to meet the newest member of the Storm Squad. Okay. Hello, darling. Hi. This is our 8-week-old golden retriever pup. Her name is Sassy. And let me tell you something. She is sassy. You doing good? You just wake up from a nap? Can you say hi to the people? You want to say hi? So this is Sassy, our golden retriever pup. We got a 13 and 11-year-old boys, and she's the newest member of the family, newest member of the Storm Squad as well. I say we make her the official mascot. Now, the other great thing about this too is my wife and I were already talking. We already have our family Halloween costume done. Because he's gotten in really good shape, I'm now fat Matt Damon, but I kind of look like Matt Damon, especially if I grow out the beard a little bit. So I'm going to be Odysseus from the Odyssey, and Sassy here is going to be the Trojan horse. You want to be the Trojan horse? Is that okay? Yeah. So this sweet angel has kept us up a little bit the last week, but that's okay, isn't it? Yeah. You doing good? Okay. Well, I wanted everyone to meet the newest family member and the newest member of the Storm Squad. Oh, okay. I'll let you go. Thanks, darling. So I'll just transfer the green tea fund over to her kibble fund. That's probably smart local weather people. Storm Squad Pooch. I mean, I'm going to make her pay for the membership, but, you know, I'm sure she can work her way through. So we're very excited as a family, and I wanted you guys to meet Sassy because from time to time she might be hanging here with me in the studio. So we'll see how that plays out. Hey, Charles, good afternoon to you. Fat Matt Damon. Especially the shape he's in right now, right? You know, he cut like 25 pounds for the Odyssey. That's tough. All right, so this severe thunderstorm warning continues until 4:45. If you guys live in Cocoa, Rockledge, Vieira North, Suntree, Merritt Island, storm is moving into your area as we speak. If you live in places like Suntree, Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne, June Park, West Melbourne, Palm Bay, these storms are likely to reach your area shortly as well. Treat this as a high-intensity storm. Treat it as a storm that could be producing winds of 60 miles an hour and some 3/4-inch size hail. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Brevard County in effect. We'll go back over to our live camera network across Central Florida as well, monitoring the situation for you guys on this Sunday afternoon. Again, great to see everyone. I hope you're doing well. If you do live in these areas in Brevard County, again, really expecting the weather to go downhill very quickly. A lot of lightning associated with these storms at this point in time, all right? We've got 713 lightning strikes, and even when I zoom into a very tiny area, we have over 500 lightning strikes right now. Again, hail not out of the question. As I have mentioned before, we start to line up the storms along our outflow and sea breeze boundaries. So you want to talk about the sea breeze just popping off storms. Look at what has happened in southern and eastern sides of Osceola County in probably the last 15 minutes. I want to put this into motion. Look what's happened here in a very short amount of time. Everything is filling in very, very quickly here. Storms are also getting quite intense farther south and to the east. A lot of lightning with this. If I go back out to our broad view, now we're over 2,700 lightning strikes, 2,800 lightning strikes. It's the most lightning in this standard view that I bring that we've had since I've been on. So over 2,800 lightning strikes in this view in just the past 15 minutes. Thank you. What you think? Yes, we are, Lady Rose CW. It's going to be awesome. Kids have been uber excited. She's been a great pup so far. We've only had her for a week. We got her last Sunday. So you'll see her on mini streams. Look, if things are quieting down a little bit, all you got to ask is, hey, can you get sassy? I'm happy to see if she'd oblige. I'm just going to reset this real quick here, guys. Get these times of arrival back on for you. Charles, good to see you again. Yeah, feel free to join the chat anytime, guys. There's no doubt about it. You know, Charles joining us from the Bahamas. But again, if you have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. If you want to let me know what's happening in your area, again, you know, this is a live only channel. So you guys jumping into the chat and telling me what's going on in your area always helps things out, always allows us to get more ground truth. And of course, we have our live camera network here at the channel to monitor the situation. We continue to expand that. And there's, you know, I don't want to delve too deep into it today, but there's a lot of really cool things coming to this channel to kind of round out your experience, and really looking forward to discussing those as we get a little bit closer to implementation. But some really cool things. Again, I hope you're getting an experience that you find unlike any other channel on the YouTube platform for this area, and there's even more coming your way. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning will go until 4:45. Storms are beginning to move out of Metro Orlando right now. Look, it's overcast, it's gray. There's not a lot as far as intense weather right now, and this is the kind of lull in the action that I expected to see from time to time. Additional storms are developing north, and they're likely to make a run back into places like Lake and Volusia and Seminole and Orange counties at some point in time. But this just wasn't going to be an all-day rain and storm event. But the intensity of the storms and the fact that they were developing early were certainly a reason to come on and track these for you guys live and then see how this plays out the rest of the day. I think storm coverage is still going to be pretty good through right around sunset or just beyond. And again, even if you don't get storms this afternoon, likely to be back on again tomorrow. Storm coverage, storm intensity will be likely just as strong for tomorrow as well. And overall, a very active week ahead. Just 50, 60, 70, even 80% storm coverage of our area in the afternoon and evening hours, especially today, tomorrow, and then again starting on Thursday and Friday. I do too, Richard. Do too as well. We had a husky for a very long time. She passed about 3 years ago. We had not had another pup until then, but, you know, kids a little bit older, more responsible, more mature, and so we were able to welcome in the newest member of the family. And again, Storm Squad. You're welcome, Cheryl. My pleasure. Well, here's the problem. Again, folks, especially on a Sunday, probably are trying to enjoy themselves and get out, and the roads are wet. There's ponding on roadways, and hydroplaning is a big issue, right? So you have to be very cautious with some of this activity too, as far as out and about driving, even yourselves. But if you know the situation, take it a little bit easier, give yourself a little bit of extra time. Hello, Desert Rose 76 asking for what's going on in Lakeland right now. Well, again, it's a little bit quieter in the Lakeland area now. That being said, we could certainly see storms building back into your area. If you are viewing across this entire part of Florida, and I got to be honest, pretty much everywhere right now, you will have the chance for storms sometime today. It may be a little bit lower chance the farther west that you live, but you're still going to have an opportunity. Now, not everyone is going to get it, but this is a very, this is an environment for today where storm development is going to be very erratic, okay? It's not like we're watching just to the sea breezes coming in. We've got the old outflow boundaries out of this as well. And this is producing very unique development and movement and slow motion of some of these storms. So it is kind of a wait and watch thing. I would expect some storms to develop off towards the west. But again, even if you don't get lucky today and you need the rain, you want the storms this afternoon, you still have a very good chance for the rest of the week. You know, over the next 7 days, I think it's highly likely most areas get 3 or 4 days of some storm activity. Hopefully several inches for the spots that need the rain to continue to fight the drought, but hopefully not enough at one point in time or one day where we have a flood threat. Unfortunately, that does end up being the case with some of this activity, especially central and eastern sides of the state on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you, Valley Girl. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning goes for the next 3 minutes. Be monitoring that 4:45. Now, the Weather Service has not put out another special weather statement yet or another severe thunderstorm warning, but let's track this out to where those areas will likely be impacted. So I'm going to draw this up. We're going to go southeast at 23. That was our movement. So regardless of whether they continue the special weather statement or the severe thunderstorm warning, again, right now it's either 55 or 60 mile an hour winds. These are your times of arrival for some of the worst weather. So Pineda, 4:55, Satellite Beach. So we're getting over the rivers and into the Barrier Islands and A1A. A little bit after 5 o'clock, Satellite Beach 5:11, Indian Harbor Beach 5:15, and then back over towards Melbourne and June Park around 5:16 to 5:19. Back down towards Indian Atlantic at 5:24, Melbourne Beach 5:28, Palm Bay 5:30, and Malabar Inn at 5:36. Again, regardless of whether they continue the severe thunderstorm warning, these are areas that will be impacted by at least a stronger storm. And you can see that 192 has filled in pretty significantly. Harmony and Holopaw. Back down towards 441, Yeehaw Junction. We've seen this the last couple of afternoons too. Mentioned, I believe the last live stream I came on, how there is this really narrow band of north to south activity that's really pulsed up. And the lightning count within this is pretty darn outrageous. Over 800 lightning strikes right here, mainly rural areas. That's great news. But if you live in the Yeehaw Junction area or you're traveling 441 or the Turnpike here, those are intense cells. Jesse, good afternoon to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. It is a 95-degree reading in Spring Hill. Again, it's feast or famine right now, guys. Either you're getting a few storms to cool you off, or you're baking in the mid and the upper 90s with a feels-like temperature in some spots that's over 110 degrees. The last report out of Ocala was 112. Look at the temperatures as feels-like numbers on our western areas. 76 in Kissimmee, so it shows you where we've had the rain-cooled air. Right now in Tampa, it feels like it's 105 in downtown. St. Pete, it feels like it's 103. Inverness, it feels like it's 107. There certainly has been more rain in the central, in the eastern part of the state today. Again, thank you, Chessie. Hope you're doing well. Did I bring on your comment? Yeah, I did. Okay. So again, thank you, Cheryl, for the $10 super thanks. If you want to become a member of the channel and support the channel in that way, growing membership, you do get access to exclusive member short videos. So in between these live streams, I'm only on when there's impactful weather, but in between these live streams, I do make short member videos to give you guys my behind the scenes thoughts, when I think I might be next on, right? And just kind of the overall setup. So if you will remember, you got one of those exclusive member short videos a little bit earlier today. Kind of gives you guys a heads up. You know, that's the main reason why. Okay, so 4:45, they've allowed the severe thunderstorm warning and the special weather statement to expire. The special marine warning continues right now. Just where I was mentioning near the Yeehaw Junction area and far southeast side of Osceola County, they have ramped up a severe thunderstorm warning there. It's the largest hail that I've seen out of today, inch-size hail. That's damaging hail, right? That is quarter-size hail. That's going to ping some roofs and some shingles and some car roofs and hoods as well. So it's a bad scenario here. Now, this cell is likely not moving much. Yeah, southwest at 1 mile an hour, basically stationary. The problem is, for anyone who lives in Yeehaw Junction, or knows anyone who does, Yeehaw Junction is east of the storm. Eventually, it should pick up a little bit of east movement. So a little bit of a concern, Yeehaw Junction developing very potent storm there. Michael, good to see you. Checking in southeast Palm Bay, 85 degrees. Had a little thunder shower earlier, but it's getting hot again. Yeah, again, early enough in the day where these storms push through. You might get a little bit of sunshine to return. It warms up a little bit, and additional strong to severe storms are possible a little bit later in the day. Not out of the question that multiple rounds of stronger storms will be moving through. We are under a marginal risk of severe storms through most of Central Florida for today. Hey, Kyle, good to see you. Yeah, not a bad weather weekend. I mean, look, certainly interesting weather weekend, right? Certainly an interesting weather weekend where we're back more into an active sea breeze environment for the rest of this Sunday, and then additional active weather most of next week. So I do want you guys to get prepared for what's going to be some pretty stormy afternoons and early evenings here in Central Florida for the coming week ahead. Again, I'll be monitoring on a daily basis. You guys know when the storms really ramp up, I'll be back on live. So again, our live camera network for you guys there at 447. Things have come down a little bit in intensity through most of our area. A little bit of a gap right now, which is great. Again, you need to run an errand on this Sunday afternoon. You have the opportunity to do so right now in places like Orlando, in Sanford, up towards the Villages, Crystal River. It's been quiet so far today for St. Pete, Tampa, back down towards Bradenton and Sarasota. Again, just where I've been mentioning, storm, coming together, merging, cell mergers up and down this line. Now another special weather statement. The amount of lightning, that's 1,500 lightning strikes right here. I told you, in between that special weather statement and the severe thunderstorms, those cells were going to come together, and then there was going to be really slow and erratic movement. And this is an area that could start to pick up a quick 2 to 3+ inches of rain. Now, the good news is this is out in mainly rural areas, but Holopal, close, maybe just south of there, down 441 with the next special weather statement. When I click on this special weather statement, it is for relatively rural areas like Lake Marion and Holopal, Kenansville, Forever, Florida, and Deer Park. But if you know anyone there, down 441 in Osceola County, and then this severe thunderstorm warning, which again right now doesn't really include any areas of population. It is along 60, but just west of Yeehaw Junction. But inch-sized hail developing there. But eventually that's all going to move off towards the east. Again, our live camera network for you guys. That is our Epic Cam. We're looking from Sand Lake to the south and to the east, from the southern sides of Metro Orlando. A lot of different decks of clouds out there right now. Conway, that's the southeast side of downtown Orlando, looking off towards the east. Some of the thunderstorms in southern Volusia and northern Brevard County continuing to work their way off. A little bit of blue sky on the horizon there in Winter Garden, looking back off towards the west. So again, a little bit quieter time frame as we push towards 5 o'clock in most of Orange County. And just an overcast mid-afternoon in Lake Buena Vista right now. But again, the thunderstorms have pushed south and east, at least at this point in time, in portions of the southwest side of Orange County. pH, I can. Hey, Falcosucco, how you doing? Hearts out in chat. $5 super chat. Baking in Brooksville. Hearing you talk about my old neighborhood in Sharpsport, St. John. Thanks for all your, I'm going to assume, hard work with the ... Let's fill it in and say hard work, right? Fox Echo, thank you very much for the super chat. Let's get the hearts out for that $5 super chat. It is baking in Brooksville, my friend. No doubt about it. Steamy, steamy, steamy. Thank you, Nickel. Beautiful dog. Good choice for a family dog. Be sure to train and socialize. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have and will and will do. So Bob asks, great question. It's cloudy, no rain, anything heading our way to put my horses away? Well, in frost-proof right now, it's a relatively quiet. Frost-proof is west of where we have the storms here. I don't expect these storms to have much more southern push. What I would watch out for though, Bob, is keep an eye on this cell up at Haines City. Do you notice that this little green line, that's the outflow boundary of the storms? They are beginning to push as far west as 27. So if a storm is likely to move into places like Lake Wells and Frostproof, it's going to be from the storms to the north and then pushing down. Now the storms are still going to try and move east as they develop. So it's not like they're going to push due south, but it'll be a little bit closer. And you notice additional little cells are still firing up in northern Polk County as well. So again, while there's a touch of a break in the action in this region, it's not like it's completely quiet, and it's not like it's going to be. Remember, we haven't had storms out west for today, so the atmosphere isn't as raked. You know, the atmosphere is still very primed for thunderstorm activity here. That's what it looks like on the high resolution visible satellite imagery across the region, and then that's our infrared satellite imagery too. So again, it's been a little bit quieter off west, at least for now. You had about a 1/4 inch of rain. It stopped for now. It's a good little storm. It's a good little storm. Nothing crazy. But 1/4 inch works. Tech and Games X is oddly quiet at Alligator Lake there in St. Cloud. All right. Let's get the hearts out for this one, guys. This is a big one. I apologize if I offended anyone. So much for freedom. I don't know what happened. I'm going to be honest. You know, we have our moderators in the chat, and so they'll handle the situation. I don't know, but we do have what I think is a very welcoming weather community. We obviously want to keep things, you know, very cordial and respectful in the chat. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. I hope everything was resolved, and I believe this is who I should be calling PH. Correct? Correct there, Noble. So thank you, PH. Appreciate that. And again, I'll let the moderators handle that. I can't keep an eye out for everything, but that's why we have our moderators, and they're great people to again, just keep things respectful. Look, guys, we're building a fantastic weather community here. I love all of you guys. You know, this is the reason why I do that. I love the ability for us to sit here and have a real-time conversation, and your reports matter. Right? I wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have an active chat. But we just obviously want to keep things extremely respectful and just build a fantastic community. Everyone does seem cool. And that's what I love about it. So we'll move on. It's just stopped raining there in Lake Placid. Okay, thank you very much for that report. So had a little bit of rain in the Lake Placid area. You got it, Bob. My pleasure. So again, the amount of lightning being produced out of these cells is absolutely mind-boggling. In this view, which is not a huge view, but the lightning count is now over 1,300 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. That's some unbelievable stuff. Could you imagine? I mean, like, look at the lightning here over the Holopole area in 192, going into Melbourne. That is such a significant storm right now. And again, that one is teetering on severe thunderstorm criteria. Farther to the south, it is out by itself right now. So raining on very rural areas west of Yeehaw Junction with that severe thunderstorm warning. If you live farther south, we have a good cluster of storms here. West Palm, west of the Stewart area, Port St. Lucie. I always get a chuckle out of the special marine warning for Lake Okeechobee because it's a lake, but it's large enough it almost acts like a very large body of water. I agree. Great coverage, great community vibes. That's exactly what I'm hoping that everyone gets out of this. I really do. Cloudy in Clearwater, no rain. Yeah, a little bit of overcast there. The problem is when you have the overcast and you don't get the rain and you get the heat, this is when it gets gross outside, right? Actual air temperatures, even at 5 o'clock, still right around 91 to 93 degrees and feels like temperatures which are still in the triple digits. Hey, Dave, good afternoon to you. Hi, Rusty just joined. This is Dave waving a hand from Sanibel. Well, Dave, appreciate you tuning in from Sanibel. Thanks for taking a second and jumping in the chat and letting me know that you just tuned in. Appreciate all of our viewers for today. Those who are first-time viewers, maybe you just saw this channel pop up on your YouTube homepage for the very first time. I appreciate you taking a second, jumping in, and then saying hi and liking and subscribing and all those great things. Again, we continue to be a growing channel here, and all of you guys interacting with the channel helps the audience of the channel. Again, I've mentioned it in most of the live streams, but it's a real thing, right? The more that you guys interact and chat and like, the more YouTube thinks you guys are getting something out of it, so they're going to suggest this channel to people who don't even know we exist on their home pages. I agree, Teresa. Great community, wonderful folks here. Rainstorm Hunter 71 jumping in, saying Port St. John beginning to mellow down a bit. Rain done, just a little bit dark for now. Hi, Fiona. Good to see you. Haven't had a chance to say hi to you today. I hope you're doing good. So again, appreciate all those supporting the channel, including Cheryl and Fox Echo and PH. Again, you want to become a member of the channel, that's the join button. If you are interested in becoming, if you own a local business and you want to talk about becoming a sponsor of the channel, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our email. Sponsorship already in the title, and you can just fill in your information and I'll get back with you. Again, we do have the Lean Law Firm as a sponsor of the channel, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They have been a sponsor since day one, and we appreciate them. But if you would like to join them in becoming a sponsor, you can scan that QR code. If you want to sponsor one of our weather cameras, you can do that as well. Lynette says it's raining again in Lake Placid. Well, there you go. All right, so will there be anything West Coast today, Rusty? Again, I don't think that we're going to have as much coverage out west, but I also don't think it's going to be completely dry. It might take some time. Remember, it's only 5 o'clock. Storms developed interior and east quite early for today, and that's exactly what I expected. You notice that there's just a couple of little cells here in Polk County, and those could continue to try and propagate west, but just in a more isolated fashion for today. But even if you don't get some rain, in places like Clearwater, St. Pete, or Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, Sarasota, Brandon, Wesley Chapel, Spring Hill, places in our western zones who are tuning in for today, this is still a very active environment over the next several days and likely through most of next week. So there's an opportunity that almost every day I could be on at some point in time tracking some impactful storms, and I do expect that to be a fairly broad area. It's not like we're just going to be focusing in on just the East Coast or interior sections. I do expect most of Central Florida to be included in that chance for storms every day. Technically, the risk from the Storm Prediction Center nudges the coastline in Citrus County and at least includes the central and eastern portions of Hernando, far eastern Pasco County. So even the Storm Prediction Center is kind of banking on the fact that at least some storms move west later this afternoon and into the early evening hours. I do expect to be a little bit higher coverage south and east, and they have extended the marginal risk in the dark green back south of Brevard County and into portions of Indian River County. Just checking mesoscale discussion. Again, every so often I'll just kind of cycle through some of the scientific things I like to look at just to make sure that I'm not missing anything with you guys. Always going to detail, what I'm looking at. These are our local storm reports. I don't think there's anything new. St. Augustine, I didn't check last time, a 41 to the 49. We saw that 49 live. So wind gusts there of around 50. And the excessive rainfall risk continues. Marginal risk, central and east. I can look at real fast. Let me do this. Actually, let me do it this way. Go back over to the radar and then actually drop off the radar and then bring on our rain totals. This is going to be radar estimated rain totals over the last 12 hours. I'm going to go to 6. So we haven't had, just make sure that's the right thing. Yeah. Because precip rate should be a lot less of an error. Yeah, okay. I think it might be a little overdone out west a little bit. I know we had a few storms earlier, but it takes a little bit of time for the newest hourly scans to come in. I mean, you can see that we're missing the southeast areas here, but just as an idea, the storms earlier today, western sides of Orange County, Winter Garden, Ocoee, maybe up to 2 inches there in a couple of spots. But it's just really spotty in nature. Again, up and down the East Coast a little bit earlier too. And then there's that storm that was in the southern sides of Marion County. So pretty widespread 1 to 2. We can handle that. There have been no flood advisories today as of yet. If we look at precip rates right now, this storm over the Holopole area is producing rainfall rates of around 5 inches an hour. It's not moving much either. It's in the middle of rural areas, but still, same situation here, north and west, and right along 60 west of Yeehaw Junction, 3.5 to 4 inches of rain. That's not moving. There's going to be about 3 inches of rain at least produced out of that storm. But again, fairly rural areas west of Yeehaw Junction. Alice Faye says, watching from Ocala near Bellevue. Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate Marion County. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday. Appreciate everyone taking a quick second or maybe hours and coming in with me. Again, we'll see how long we're on at this point in time. Never know. Might have to do a couple of streams today. I've got my green tea ready to go in my Lean Law tumbler. Knew it was going to be a longer stream, so I grabbed the bigger tumbler for today. But we're in a situation here where, again, developing storms are possible the remainder of the afternoon hours, and we are under a risk for severe storms for today. We're under a risk for an excessive rainfall threat in some spots, too. So far, the excessive rain has not developed. I'll check our advisories one more time. You're going to see flood advisories in green, so that's south of Lake Okeechobee. So right now for our area in Central Florida, we have not. But if you do live and you're tuning in down in the West Palm area towards Fort Lauderdale, there are some flood advisories for you guys at this point in time. So keep a close eye there. That flood advisory, by the way, just to give you an idea, is for up to 2 inches of rain already with an additional 2 inches. So 2 to 4 inches here. I don't think we're going to go higher than 3 to 5, but where these storms are merging in the slow erratic movement, like right here, I think we're in that range. And this was what I expected. The question was where it was going to happen. It's good, if you will, that's happening in more rural areas, but anyone underneath this is still in store for some heavy downpours and at least some flooding of low-lying areas. Oh, very cool. Thanks for that. Lives in Mims, in an RV and a horse farm. First of all, very cool. Secondly, being in a mobile home, always wanting to, or being in an RV, regardless whether it's a mobile home or it has wheels, you always want to make sure that you're weather aware, right? Something that can get tossed about a bit with the winds. That tumbler sounds refreshing. So I love this, right? Because you never know when anyone is tuning in from. And sometimes, our major populated areas are highly covered in the chat. And then every so often, I'm talking about these areas that aren't as populated, and you just don't know. Is there someone watching from there? Is there someone not? And then we have Robert coming in the chat saying, can you send the rain to Yeehaw Junction up to the villages? My lawn needs it. So Yeehaw Junction, not included, but the villages is. So there you go. We just transported over. But it's really cool to see that folks are tuning in from all over the place. Here's another place, Elkton in the house. Starting to rain there. Appreciate that information. And again, thanks guys for tuning in and letting me know. The question here, Michael back in Brevard County says, special weather statement move east. Look, these storms will eventually go east, right? You see how they're now closer to Yeehaw Junction, right? That storm was a few miles from Yeehaw Junction, but now it's beginning to close in. So those storms will try to march east eventually. Whether they get back into Brevard County, right now that cell is just about 2.5 miles from 441 on the leading edge, right? We can also look at distances around here. So to give you an idea, even here with this special weather statement storm, we still got about another 17 miles to get back towards Palm Bay, but not out of the question that this is the next cluster that tries to make a run into Brevard County. And again, that's a tremendous storm with 1,100 lightning strikes in just the last 15 minutes. I mean, trying to drive 192 right now, that would be like, again, I'm not sure there's that level of difficulty I want to really try and face. Chris says that it's been dark and raining all day in Fort Myers. Appreciate that report. Yep, pretty stormy all the way down there. You're looking from the Melbourne radar. We're not going to pick it up as much, but appreciate you tuning in for Fort Myers. Alligator Alley is stormy. Holy Dragon's in the house from DeLand. Appreciate Volusia County as well. There is a new special weather statement that's going to try and get back into portions of Flagler County. So if you're tuning in right now from Flagler County, let me give you that information on that storm. It just expires west of Palm Coast, but we can kind of include Palm Coast in this as well. All right. East at 18, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Not the most significant storm, but it gives you an idea again that things are trying to pick back up in a couple of spots. New special weather statement back over St. Augustine. These are areas that have already had storms, but now round 2 is coming in for those spots. Things are relatively quiet right now. Just some light rain left over for Meadow Woods and Medical City, Buenaventura Lakes, Hunters Creek. Yeah, we'll have to watch this one. We'll have to watch this one and see if it can really slide back east or how far south and east it gets before it's done. We are in celebration, family in Rockledge. Mom is Okeechobee. We couldn't catch a break today. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. And I got to be honest. I mean, there's not a lot of breaks in the action the next week ahead. Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to get quiet mornings. It's still going to be our sea breeze storms, but there is definitely a lot of activity that I've seen in the models and looking at things in the forecast for most of the week ahead. Not every day it's going to be like this, but the coverage of rain is likely to be very elevated most of the week ahead. Charles says your support and contribution to the CFLW Weather Channel is greatly appreciated. You're very valued indeed. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate those kind words. Willow Cat says Silver Spring Shores is starting to get some additional rain as well. Again, up here in Marion County, there you go. South and east of Ocala, right down 301. Just a good storm, some lightning, just a good, healthy Florida thunderstorm here in the afternoon hours. Out by itself for the most part. Have to see if anything else fills in. But not the worst case scenario there. Again, this storm is back to being severe again. Notice that there's not much movement. I am definitely concerned about flooding here. It is, again, relatively rural. The only areas with any population are Kenansville and Forever, Florida. But 60s and an inch size hail. Damaging thunderstorm. Slow, erratic movement. Flooding rains likely out of this. My thought would be the first flood advisory will come in this area. Nicole asked, do I think storms are done in Kissimmee? For now. But I can't give you the all clear the remainder of the day. It's just an environment where additional cells could fill back in later this afternoon into the early evening hours, right? It's still only 5 o'clock. Still have at least 3+ hours before sunset, and then maybe that extra hour towards 9 o'clock where there could still be a few more storms. But for now, things are relatively quiet. You can, again, see a few more storms north and west, which might try and push down south and east. But there's a bit of a break in the action now in some of those spots. Hey, Jamie, thank you for sharing on Facebook. I appreciate that. It is Blue Goose. Bit of a water-loaded environment for today, so a lot of thunderstorm activity out there for the most part. But certainly, rich in moisture with that tropical feel. Hey, I'll take Norway. Any one watcher is just as good as the next, and I think some folks really get a kick out of seeing what we deal with here in Central Florida. Maybe they visited the attractions, and maybe they did it in a different time of the year. Maybe they wanted to avoid the heat of summer, but they didn't know about the storms. There's a lot of folks and kids I've talked to from across the country and the work that I've done that truly don't understand that there is a distinct wet and a distinct dry season in the peninsula of Florida and in the intricacies, if you will, of these storms on a daily basis, with these sea breezes. It does take a lot of skill to forecast this and to, watch this, because everything changes every day depending on whether the East Coast sea breeze is stronger, whether the West Coast sea breeze is stronger, where those storms interact and merge, whether we have old outflow boundaries from storms. So it's also great to have our live camera network, which you see. Again, I can always keep an eye out for those storms, and we can merge with what's happening with the radar, with what's happening with our live cameras. And of course, you guys letting me know what's happening. That's what I love about this channel, the live interaction, that we can jump in and have a good chat together. And I do appreciate the now over 10,000 subscribers of the channel. And all the viewers as well. So again, just going through our camera feed right now. You see the storm still slowly eking out of Winter Garden, but things have quieted down pretty significantly in Orange County at the hour. Good news for now. Still have the dark skies south of Lake Buena Vista. This camera, by the way, in Lake Buena Vista, if you're new to the channel, it's 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. So we really have a great option to be able to look at the attractions area from that camera. But we also have cameras in the Sand Lake area that look towards the other areas of attractions, including the Epic Cam. That's going to be your southeast camera down below. That's some of our live camera network. We are continuing to add to that live camera network with some other really fantastic features coming to the channel as well. Again, really excited about some of the things that are headed your way. Looking back out from Conway right now. Again, back off towards the east from this camera. You can see some of the darker skies off towards the east at this point. From there, go back over to show you that camera from Lake Buena Vista. Again, you know, just beyond that tree stand is the Magic Kingdom. About as close as you can get to Disney property. So we have a great view of the potential for storms across the Magic Kingdom, across Epcot, across Disney Springs, Typhoon Lagoon, areas like that. Jared says we need rusty tumblers and coffee mugs in a merch store. I could see that. Maybe we could get Sassy Dog merch as well. That might be the highest selling thing, right? What I'm going to assume is now the official mascot of the channel. Oh, Noble Pill says. See, it's not good enough for me to say thank you for the 10,000 subscribers. Noble Pill says it has to be 10,064. Well, I certainly hope that since you last put that in there, Noble Pills, someone else has now become a member of the a subscriber, and we're up to at least 10,065. Kim says it is getting dark again, and I'm just going to switch this real quick so you guys can see my lovely face. Oh, never mind. That's not going to work anyway if I do. Yeah, there we go. Kim says it's getting dark in Palm Coast again. It is. Again, there's that storm north and west of Palm Coast that could be headed your way. You know, right now, technically, the special weather statement isn't in effect for Palm Coast. It's just on the edge. But if you do look north and west, that storm is moving your way. That special weather statement will go for the next 12 minutes until 5:30. Only 40-mile winds, so it's right on the edge, right? I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of damaging storm activity with that one moving through Putnam and into Flagler counties. That being said, of course, you know, when thunder roars, you head indoors, let that one pass you by. Still have this storm that is not moving here, which is likely going to continue to produce significantly heavy rain. Now, if anything you saw on that last scooch of the radar, maybe we're dropping just south of 192 now. So I do believe that Melbourne will miss this storm. Palm Bay will likely miss this storm. But anywhere south of there, Grant and Valkyria, in Malabar, in Mico, Barefoot Bay, Fellsmere, Sebastian, have to see how this ekes its way off to the east. Fiona wants salmon short merch. Now, this is a callback to my other channel, Media Mundo, where I do a lot of live coverage, which could be 6, 9, 12 hours of live coverage in a row of tropical storms and hurricanes. By the way, you're going to get tropical storm and hurricane coverage in Central Florida of any storms live on this channel. But I have this Caribbean and Bahamas channel, and the first time I ever did a live stream, I was wearing these salmon shorts. And then everyone thought that that was just kind of like my uniform for when there was severe weather, right? And so now the joke is anytime that we have a live stream on that channel, I have to wear the salmon shorts. Yeah, this storm is quite intense, guys. Right now, again, you know, it is fairly rural areas being impacted. Turnpike, by the way, is going to be 91, 441, of course, south from Holopal. And then 441 basically parallels and then crosses each other right by Yeehaw Junction. So covered up right now is portions of the turnpike down there. A few more thunderstorms towards Lake Wells and Cypress Gardens, of course, which is Legoland. A couple of little blips on the radar here. I can always check in with the Tampa radar. You guys know I just hit a button. We can check in on that. Gives us a little bit better perspective of the storms out west, but clearly they're just dotting the landscape right now. Again, a blip on the radar near Lakeland, little blip over Winter Haven, nothing more than that at this point in time. Fiona, we got some rowdy storm. This is a rowdy storm. This is a rowdy storm. This is inch-sized hail being detected from this storm right now. The severe thunderstorm warning is for inch-sized hail. My radar is also detecting inch-sized hail. It's a problem. That storm is gnarly. 1,200 lightning strikes. Here's your new special weather statement. So now the Weather Service out of Melbourne is saying, okay, that storm is moving a little bit to the south and east now. So I'm going to switch back over to the Melbourne radar. Boom, just like that. Now we get back in. Here we go. It's just for Palm Bay and Blue Cypress Lake. It is on the edge. Now, Palm Bay, of course, it's going to be marked here, but a lot of Palm Bay is west of 95. And you can see that cell is beginning to march into the area of Palm Bay. Street level mapping for you guys here so you can clearly see that. By the way, anyone lives in West Palm Bay, there is your outflow boundary, that cool breeze that comes out of the storms ahead of the main line, right? So the gust front is moving through western Palm Bay right now. You'll feel that push of cooler air, the winds shift direction, and then behind that, the thunderstorms arriving. Jared asks, how accurate do I think the weather stations are? I think it's dependent on which ones you get. I'm not so informed on them right now. I mean, obviously, working in the TV world, we always had the larger, more expensive ones. I think you do kind of get what you pay for, and especially like sometimes those rain gauges, they just can't handle high precip rates in one time. They don't pick up the amount of rain that is actually falling. Temperature wise, for the most part, they're pretty good. But when we're talking about rain, you need probably one of the bigger rain gauges and bigger buckets to really be able to hold the amount of rain that we get here in Florida. Hi, Heidi, watching from Sebastian. Wants to know the time frame for the storm hitting the Sebastian area. Well, luckily, Heidi, we're right in tracking this storm for you right now on CFLW. And you are far enough away where technically you're not under the special weather statement right now. So we are beginning to get a little bit of movement south and east at about 12. So let's see how far away you are from this storm, Heidi. From the leading edge of the really bad weather, you're about 19 miles. So at 12 miles an hour, you would be about an hour and a half away. I don't expect it to take that long. I would say maybe, Heidi, you have a good hour before this storm gets into your area, okay? Certainly through the 5 o'clock hours, you should be just fine. Keep an eye out for this storm. This storm is a pretty nasty one. We'll see if it holds together that far east, right? No guarantee. But if you look back off towards your west, that's what's coming your way, likely in about an hour's time. You got it, Jared. Getting dark again. I'm going to get some action the other earlier wiped out. It's close, depending on where you are. Going to be real close. But again, this is the environment we're in, guys. This is not just a one and done for you today. Some people will be one and done. Some people will be none and done. Other areas will have multiple rounds of storms. We are under a risk of severe storms for today. We've already had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. The risk area, which is in your darker green, has been extended farther south and east to include some of the active severe storms that we had in Brevard County and Osceola County late on this Sunday afternoon. A little bit quieter the farther west that you go so far, but additional storms aren't out of the question there in the coming hours. Right now, Valrico is pretty quiet. This might be the funniest, best quote I've gotten in a while. Thank you for mentioning me. I feel like a celebrity now. Hey, look, if you feel that way from jumping into this chat, that makes me feel great as well. Again, I absolutely appreciate you guys taking a second and jumping into the chat. I love that interaction, and you guys have a question, I'm happy to answer it. The moderators in the chat, by the way, they're great because when things get really, action-packed here and I'm covering multiple storms, I may miss some questions in the chat, but the moderators, they're my eyes and ears, and there's many of them at any one point in time, and they're happy to answer those questions as well. Jupiter in the house. Good to see you again, by the way, Bitcoin. Bright blue to the east, rumbles and dark thunderheads coming in from the west towards Lake Okeechobee. Absolutely. It's been a while since I've been in Jupiter, but I've been there from time to time. No, JS Tree, again, I love our super handles here. Right now, Valrico's okay. Yep. Valrico, Brandon, Seffner area is looking pretty good. Friends, we have a new super chat. We got to get the hearts out in chat for it. It's a $9.99 from Cheryl Masters. This is Cheryl in Palm Bay. What is the ETA Western Palm Bay near the compound? Don't know exactly what the compound is in Palm Bay, but I'm happy to track that for you. Thank you so much for the super chat, Cheryl. Let's get right into it. All right. So Palm Bay, near the compound. You got it. Let me zoom in for you. So again, street level mapping here, guys. Okay. Now, Cheryl, you probably know this area even better than I do. First of all, live radar out of Melbourne. We are smack dab so close to you. The first thing you're going to notice is, okay, the first thing you're going to notice is this gust front, all right? That is the cooler push of air being shoved away from the thunderstorm, okay? So that gust front is on the edge as we speak of the western sides of Palm Bay, all right? So you'll get the cooler air in that gust front ahead of the main line of storms. So that's the first thing that if you do live there, you can probably tell me in the chat when it's coming in, because it's likely on your doorstep if you haven't already felt it yet. If you're outside, maybe you're not outside, but you might see the palm trees pick up a little bit with that gust front, okay? Then the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to get the meat of the thunderstorm starting to move in, and everything is kind of moving east or moving just a little bit south and east, but look at all this activity here, okay? That's well north and west of you. You're likely to get overrun with a part of this storm. Maybe it doesn't hold the 60-mile-an-hour winds and the inch-size hail, but it's really close to your doorstep, and you're going to get hit with at least some of this activity. So tracking it out for you, the actual storm itself, I mean, at most, it's what, 3 miles away? If you live on the far southwest side, yeah, about 3 miles at the most. The severe thunderstorm warning, the eastern block of that is about 9 miles from the west side of Palm Bay. Cheryl, I hope that answered your question. I am happy to, if you have any other question about that storm, let me know. Appreciate your support. Happy to answer that question for you there. And again, I try and answer all questions, but obviously any super chats I'm happy to prioritize. I appreciate the support of that channel, of the channel. No wind yet, but we can hear it coming. Okay, yeah, it's a rowdy storm. It's going to be a rowdy storm for far southern Brevard and portions of Indian River counties. Again, the lightning is extremely intense. 1,200 lightning strikes. Cheryl, I'm going to do this for you as well. I'm going to switch over to our velocity product, okay? There is some really strong winds. So we've got some 50-mile-an-hour winds here coming into Palm Bay. We're seeing some 20 to 25, nothing outrageous. Be very glad, Cheryl, you don't live south and west, because these are much stronger winds here. But you will feel it. And the lightning again. Tremendous amount of lightning embedded within this too. Everything rotation-wise is quite broad. Yeah, there's some stronger winds outgoing here. There's some stronger winds ingoing, but there is no big couplet here. There might be a little bit of a twist within this storm, and you can almost see it kind of feeding back in here. But the wind profile is actually fairly light at the lower levels. Remember, we're shooting this storm from the Melbourne radar. You can't get closer, basically, right? Oh. We're looking at this storm less than 1,000 foot in elevation, and in Palm Bay it gets back down to 600. So very ground truth data out of this. All right, so that's the latest on that one. Go out to the big perspective. Again, right now, all is still relatively quiet in Orlando, Daytona Beach. As I expected, they have allowed that special weather statement storm to expire in Palm Coast. It pulsed up very quickly. Wasn't able to hold on too long. We'll look at that storm from the Jacksonville radar just real quickly for anyone who lives in St. John's. Back over towards Palm Coast. The Jacksonville radar wants to cooperate. There we go. Yeah, it's not looking bad. That's not bad storm. A little bit more rain, a little bit more lightning, maybe towards Crescent Beach and Marineland and Palm Coast, but that's it. We'll quick shoot over to the Tampa radar. Again, a few cells have popped up in central and eastern sides of Polk County. Nothing has made Hillsborough County as of yet. We're looking good across 75 and US 19. Even northern Brevard County looks pretty good too. But this storm is coming in with a vengeance into southwest Brevard County as we speak. If you want to ask why there's no Orlando NOAA weather radio, the Melbourne Weather Service office covers all of the Orlando metro area. In our region that we mainly cover here in the channel, and of course we always expand our coverage when necessary, 3 different weather service offices cover us. It's the Jacksonville for kind of northern and northwestern areas, the Tampa Ruskin area, which covers kind of west central, and then Melbourne, which covers all the way up to Flagler County, and then all of Metro Orlando as well. But great question, Fiona. Okay, so they have allowed this severe thunderstorm warning to expire, which is good. But again, the intensity of this cell is quite something, and it is beginning to eke into west side of Palm Bay. Just in this view, 360 lightning strikes. Big cell here, moving south and east. Again, Fellsmere included within this. East at 12. I'm going to do a storm track. I think it's moving a little bit south and east. You can see that as well. I think it's moving a little bit south and east. I'm going to go a little bit south and east at 12. So again, technically Palm Bay, because my mark for Palm Bay is here, is not included in it. But obviously portions of Palm Bay and Grant Valcaria are. 610 for the Grant Valcaria area east of 95, and then back towards Fellsmere at 618, just on the edge of Sebastian. So I remember there's a question earlier in the chat about Sebastian. If this holds together, probably in that 620 to 625 time frame at that speed. Again, 1,300 lightning strikes out of this storm. Special weather statement, winds of 50 and some quarter-inch size hail. Hopefully not damaging hail criteria here. Hopefully just a ton of rain and lightning. Because of that, I'm going to check our advisories real fast. Give me 1 second. Just want to make sure we don't have a flood advisory here yet. Again, when I go to this product, it's county by county. Flood advisories still continue down here. There are special weather statements, but the green indicates that not only are there special weather statements, but there's also flood advisories in some of these areas. With severe thunderstorm warning here too. All right. Radar range and coverage, hundreds of miles each, covering all of Florida. And not only do I have the ability, answer Noble Pill's question, not only do I have the ability to show individual radar sites, but we can look at them as a composite. You guys know that if you've been a friend of the channel for a while. Let's say there's a thunderstorm that goes right over the Melbourne radar site, so that becomes basically unusable, at least at that point. Switch over to the Tampa radar, switch over to the Jacksonville radar, or look at them as a composite to fill in the gaps. So I have all of the United States covered through our radar coverage. Goldilocks says, my son went fishing, was headed south from us in Venice. Gave him your report and advised him to go north of Venice. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, obviously, boaters obviously keep a very close eye on the weather this time of the year. But that's a fantastic thing. That's what I love about this channel, right? Maybe you have a family or friend who is out and about. They're just enjoying their Sunday afternoon and they're just really focused on that activity. And maybe they're not paying attention to the weather, but you are. You see where they're located, especially boaters, right? Very vulnerable to these thunderstorms. You do not want to get caught in offshore waters with these thunderstorms. Trust me, I know. Born and raised in Crystal River. My dad and mom, who are probably watching this live stream right now, will get a chuckle. But my dad, when he was, in his 30s, very gun-ho, and we would be out there to the very last second. And I'm not going to say we weren't caught in some thunderstorms that didn't scare the bejesus out of 8-year-old Rusty, but we did. But you do want to respect these storms, especially when you are boating, because you want to get back into safe shelter, because there's just no cover out there, right? So we've mentioned it before as well, that they will issue special marine warnings well in advance. So if this storm holds together, the Melbourne Weather Service office will issue a special marine warning for portions of southern sides of Brevard and Indian River counties well in advance, because they want to give boaters a long leeway and heads up to get back into port before that storm arrives. Michael says the wind has arrived, the temperature has dropped. Popcorn in a movie. I like it. Hey Ben, how you doing? Ben says, I moved to Florida a couple years ago, and I noticed during the summer there appears to be breezes that come off the oceans. The last part of your that are visible, that's correct. The last part of your obviously chat got cut off here. I think I can read it because I have the actual YouTube stream up too. On radar and storms we find along them, what's the meteorology behind that? It's a great question, Ben. Those are called sea breeze storms. And we do have sea breeze storms on nearly a daily basis in Florida. It's because we're surrounded by three sides of water. So each and every day, because of the differential heating between water and land, remember, land heats up a lot quicker than water does and then cools off faster at night. So you get this differential temperature every day between the hot land and the relatively cooler waters of the Gulf or the Atlantic. That causes small mesoscale areas of high pressure and low pressure, and it pushes boundaries called sea breezes inland every day. Now, they're different every day. It doesn't mean that the West Coast and the East Coast sea breezes are always the same, and they always move inland at the same rate, and they always continue to, combine or congregate in the same locations of the state every day. It's actually different every day, depending on the wind profiles at both the low and the mid levels of the atmosphere. Sometimes the west coast sea breeze will stay along the west coast. The east coast sea breeze will march completely across the state, and then thunderstorms are more prolific along the west coast where the sea breeze interaction is. You can flip that around where the east coast sea breeze is pinned along the east coast. The west coast sea breeze is what marches inland, hits the east coast sea breeze along the east coast, and then you have the very active weather there. Or it can be a combination where they meet somewhere in the middle across I-4, and now you get the heaviest thunderstorms across I-4. There are other areas or other issues as well. You can have enhanced sea breezes. You can have more mid-level, what we call steeper lapse rates, or you can have just more thermodynamics in the atmosphere at the mid-levels, which enhance the sea breeze storms. So it really does change on a daily basis, but you talk about being able to see them visibly. That is what you do see on the radar, is you see the push of wind coming in with the sea breezes on a daily basis. Great question though. Not all of us are born and raised in Florida. Maybe some of you are quite new. Again, it's a very unique situation in Florida, especially here in the peninsula, where we do have a distinct wet and dry season. Again, when the sea breezes get cut off, we're down to getting cold fronts in Florida to get any rain in the winter months. Hey, Larry, good to see you. So I hope that answered your question, Ben. But yes, the bottom line is the sea breezes are visible on a radar, and they're actually a great thing to track and to see where additional storms could be developing. Palm Bay Jags fan, has the temperature dropped? Winds have dramatically increased at the corner of Waco and Emerson. Okay, thank you for that. Well, you can see the outflow boundary from that storm has now reached basically the I-95 corridor. So through a good part of Palm Bay, back towards Grant and Valcaria, near Mico. Special weather statement continues for 2 minutes here. They are likely to reissue that. My opinion is that the storm has not lost a lot of intensity, so they're likely to reissue that one. If we take a look at the wind profile from the radar, this is a really interesting piece of this storm, guys. I have to monitor this. Now look, it's just one scan, but you're going to see what I'm talking about here. You've got incoming and outgoing winds that are very close to each other. That is a couplet. That is not a good sign. There could be some low-level rotation within this storm. It is very much a rural area, but I am picking up, it's a 100-mile-an-hour couplet. All right, so we need to get serious here. It's half degree. All right, it's tilted back north and west in elevation. Going through the different scans, guys, of this storm, we're going to be a little bit more serious here for a second. It's the first indication of potential significant low-level rotation. Now, I want to get another scan in here. I never jump to conclusions, but just that radar signature is not a fun one. Just for reference sake, that is right on the Brevard Indian River County border. Now look, the Weather Service is looking at this too, I promise you. It's a hell of a lot of wind coming from that storm right there. I'm going to switch over to the Tampa radar because I just want a second opinion on that. It's far away. We're going to shoot up a lot higher in that storm, but I want to see how vertically stacked that storm is too. Yeah, we're so far away, we're not really catching it. Too high. Yeah, we're going to be at 10,000 feet here. just right on the edge. This is kind of no man's land where it's only Melbourne radar that really covers this spot. All right, let me go back over to Melbourne. We got a new scan in. Okay, so I'm much happier to see this. So when we're looking for rotating storms, you're looking for green and red near each other. Okay, that's what we call a couplet. All right, that means that winds are going in different directions in close proximity, right? So you would have some kind of rotation within that. Definitely saw that. And the brighter the greens, the stronger the winds are in an incoming basis, and then the reds, the brighter that you get, excuse me, incoming green, outgoing red, right? So the stronger, brighter greens, higher winds, brighter reds or pinks, stronger outgoing winds. When those are close together, that's what we call a couplet. There's rotation within that storm. Wanted to get one more scan in here. Not right now any big broad rotation, but a heck of a lot of wind. 60-mile-an-hour winds produced out of this. There is a very intense part of this thunderstorm complex that is going to try and get to places like the Fellsmere area fairly quickly, just along the Brevard Indian River County border and moving off to the south and to the east. So a tremendous amount of wind being produced out of this. I'm unclear why right now that we do not have a severe thunderstorm warning on this one, or at least another special weather statement that covers that area. You can see, do you notice here that there's this push out? No. Okay, well, there's your new special weather statement. You guys see that there's this push out like this. Call that a bow echo because it looks like the bow and arrow. What happens is when you start to see a line of storms have this little bulge out like this, that's likely where the strongest winds up and down this line are, because literally the winds, the downburst winds, are pushing the precipitation out ahead of the main line. So when we see this little bulge coming here, it's called a bow echo, and it likely is indicative of that the strongest winds are located within that area. So if I go back over to the velocity, you can see that that does play out, and it's pushing the storm faster, right, than what other parts of the storm complex are wanting to move. It's a little bit more congested. It's very prominent in some of your plain storms or cold fronts when you have a line of storms and then you see those little bulges, those bow echoes. But even here, I could just tell that when we were looking at this, that this little notch that came out was just a little push of stronger wind. So there is a special weather statement for this. It's 55s. I mean, it's so close. I'm picking up 60. So we're right on the edge of seeing another severe thunderstorm warning here. Southeast at 23, 55 and quarters, Fellsmere and Blue Cypress Lake, still relatively rural areas. Here is the good news. While places like Palm Bay and Malabar and Grant Valkyria are going to get run over with some activity, the strongest part of this storm is south of you right now, towards Mico, Sebastian, Barefoot Bay, Indian River shores, and then west into the western sides of Indian River County. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Fiona, I was worried about it. I don't like to jump on anything. I just want to make sure. Michael says those wind chimes are singing. And then, yeah, if you're looking south and west, it is pitch black. Nasty storm, gnarly storm, rowdy storm. Again, an amazing amount of lightning. Just in this view, 15-minute time frame, 1,400 lightning strikes, guys. 1,400 lightning strikes from those storms. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in live here on this Sunday. We've been on for a little while now, haven't we? Feel like we have been. What, maybe 2.5 hours or something like that? Appreciate everyone tuning in. Covering the storms across Central Florida, live camera network for you guys here. Again, monitoring the situation. At this point in time, things are relatively benign in the Tampa, St. Pete, and Orlando areas. Storms are moving to the south and to the east. Still could see some redevelopment of storms as we move through the remainder of the afternoon hours, but for right now, things are relatively quiet. Of course, I'm always going to be straightforward and honest with you guys. We always have storms across Central Florida. There's no reason to hype anything. As you guys know, I want you guys to come in, to check in and see if these storms are impactful to you, and if you need to move about for your day, I want you to do so. We have fantastic people in this weather community, those who stick around for the majority of our streams, and I appreciate those. If you want to come in and just kick back with your favorite beverage and jump on the couch or have your smartphone and watch the coverage throughout the day, I appreciate all of that as well. But I understand that your time is important, and am never going to overtly take your time if you need to get out and about and do things. That's why you have a question about the forecast, you let me know. I'll be very honest with you. Say, hey, Rusty, I live in Orlando. Are things quiet for the next hour? I need to run an errand. Yes, it's fine. Get out of here. We'll see you later. Or no, hang on. Watch these storms with me for a little bit. I'll give you the all clear when I can. Larry, if I didn't say hello to you, hope you're doing well. Oh, is it dinner time? Yes, please. Please tempt me with your food options for dinner. Luckily, obviously, I'm pretty attuned to when I need to go on to this channel. So I did, I normally, first of all, I hardly ever eat breakfast. I don't know, you might have an opinion about that or not. But typically, I just have a salad for lunch, and then I have a decent meal for dinner. But I had a little bit bigger meal for lunch, knowing that, there's a chance I may not have dinner until later tonight. We'll see, how these storms behave as they move over the next hour, but knew I wasn't going to be having an early dinner, I'll put you that way. Down to 78 degrees there where Michael is. So it shows you the rain-cooled activity and atmosphere here across the area. And again, where it's not, even at 6 o'clock, we're likely seeing temperatures here. These are the wind gusts. The surface temperatures that are still above 90 degrees in a lot of spots. So they have gone severe with this little cell in northeast Ocala, Marion County, that is. Again, still relatively open area, but this is what I want to continue to pass along to you guys. It's not as if we're completely done. Just the situation that we're in. It's still 6 o'clock. We've still got more than 2 hours of daylight. Some areas hadn't had the storms. So some activity refiring, not out of the question. Oh, here we go. Everyone coming in with their, this is what I'm going to eat. Let's make Rusty jealous. Which is fine. Again, if you're here, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me, subscribing to the channel. Both of those help out the channel more than you think, really helps out the audience. Again, maybe you are brand new to the channel. Thank you for joining a growing, fantastic weather community, but you maybe saw this live stream on your homepage for the very first time. It's our friends of the channel who have hit the like button, who are interacting with the channel, who are allowing YouTube to recommend this to more and more people. So appreciate whether this is your 50th live stream or more, or your first live stream. Thanks for joining the channel. Come on in, stay for a while, as they say. Some Lady Rose has some tea going. We got some barbecue chicken wings, pizza. You guys are cruel. All sounds good to me. So this storm, again, still bears monitoring. By the way, if you live now east of 95, sorry, I just have an itchy nose right now. If you live east of 95, Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant and Valcarry and Mico, you're feeling That sea breeze, assuming you're feeling, God, I just had this itchy nose, I don't know why. You are feeling the gust front come through. That's the green line that you see out ahead of the main line of storms by a mile. Still some good lightning embedded within this. It's really clipping southwest Palm Bay right now. A lot of lightning there, and then it just really picks up in intensity just south of there. Fellsmere is about ready to get smacked. Sebastian, likely to get some decent part of this, but a little bit farther south and east might even be even worse. A couple of thunderstorms. There's a question of frostproof. Again, I told you to look to the north. A little bit of rain there near Lake Wells and frostproof. I don't think we have a lot of lightning here in this cell. No lightning yet near frostproof, but that storm could be picking up just a little bit. Michael, enjoy your dinner. Yes, indeed. We do have a lonely severe thunderstorm warning up in far northeast Marion County right now. So we kind of are bracketing our area. We have some activity south and east with a couple of special weather statements. One lone severe thunderstorm warning here for the next 18 minutes. It's a very small but intense cell up here. And again, still relatively rural areas. We can look at the storm from the Jacksonville radar. And again, it's just this little spot. Inch-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. It does sneak into south central Putnam until 6:15. Yeah, Palm Bay Jags fan, you are likely to not get much of it. Just slid by you one more time. Again, if you didn't get it today, multiple opportunities the rest of the week. A very active weather pattern overall. So till 6:15, these two special weather statements. This one getting into Indian River County and moving out of Brevard. Again, right now all is quiet. I-4 to I-95. And then you have this one cell all out by itself. It says, "Yo, not done yet." Northeast Marion County into Putnam for now. Michael's going for, is that pizza or donuts? Like a bagel. Y'all in your emojis. Again, a little bit quieter right now, so if you have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop in the comments section below. I'm just going to keep an eye on this storm for the next little bit here, far southern Brevard and into Indian River County. These special weather statements are about as high as you get for a special weather statement. If you get to 60-mile-an-hour winds, it becomes a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're teetering on that. Again, not that long ago, I was picking up some extremely strong winds here. And there are still some extremely strong winds west of Fellsmere. Again, it's a relatively rural area. It's good, but anyone with any interest in this area, again, I'm pinging, real close to 60-mile-an-hour winds in some of this. And it's a pretty big swath of extremely strong winds. If you need to run an errand in the Metro Orlando area, you're looking pretty good for now. Again, we'll see how that trend goes the remainder of the evening. But quiet right now. Even a little bit of sunshine beginning to peek their head back out from our cameras. So we got our Sand Lake cameras and Lake Buena Vista for you there. Show you what's happening right now in Conway and Winter Garden. Again, a little bit of diffuse sun there. Still a little bit of a gray sky in Lake Buena Vista, but not bad. Get out and about, enjoy the fireworks. Again, for now, what I would say, guys, is the trend is our friend. Okay, you guys know that I say that as things begin to come down in intensity a little bit. I don't know if we're fully done the remainder of the day. Most of the models and situations I looked at still tried to redevelop some activity, through 9 o'clock. We can see one rogue storm up here in Marion County that has broken through again. So it's a situation that I am going to have to monitor for a while for you here. Again, whether that's live on stream or taking a break and coming back on if necessary. We are still technically under the marginal risk for severe storms for today, 1 out of 5 on the scale. We still have our excessive rainfall situation. Again, have not had a flood advisory or a flash flood warning yet. Great news. And a look at our local storm reports too. See if we have any additional local storm reports. So I haven't seen any here. Okay. So at least in the last couple of hours, any of the storms, we haven't had any LSRs from the Weather Service offices. And again, that storm, southwest Palm Bay, Grant, Valcaria, Barefoot Bay, Mico. Now the outflow boundary is right along US 1. Again, you're going to feel that push of cooler air. And this storm will continue to work its way to the south and to the east, places like Vero Beach and potentially even down the road. St. Lucie and Fort Pierce could be included within that one. This special weather statement is for the Kissimmee Prairie Reserve. Again, you get out into pretty rural areas here. Yeehaw Junction would be a part of this for the next 12 minutes. Down the turnpike in 441. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to wrap up this particular live stream. But please understand that I'm going to be monitoring the situation very closely for you guys, right? And if we get additional stronger storms developing in our northern areas again, I'll be back on and covering those for you. So this will be at least goodbye for now, but certainly an opportunity to come back on with a new live stream and cover the remainder of the early evening hours. We'll see how this plays out. Again, still could see a few storms out west. If you didn't get storms for today, high coverage of storms likely for tomorrow as well. Potentially a little bit lower in coverage, but still some intense storms are possible Tuesday and Wednesday, and then more widespread active weather again starting on Thursday and Friday. So it's just an overall very active afternoon to early evening week ahead for us here. The sea breezes and the outflow boundaries are going to be quite initiated and ready to fire up these storms that have the opportunity for some strong and severe weather associated with them, just like we had for today. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out. Appreciate all of our moderators and members of the channel and those who supported the channel during this live stream as well. I'll be monitoring the situation, have the notifications on, because if I'm back on live and you have all notifications on, you'll know exactly when that is the case. And of course, I'll be monitoring the situation across Central Florida, and when it's necessary, I'll see you. Might be later tonight, might be sometime tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out. But until I see you next time, my friends, take care. I'll see you soon.